4 in a row since January 2021 when Steve Bruce was the manager. Eddie Howe now in charge, scans the back of one of these huge looming stands at St James's Park. 2 of them tower right above the city, and if you're at the back of those stands you can see right across Newcastle in the northeast. We're underway with Manchester City starting proceedings. They are left to right in the first half, attacking the Gallowgate end for those that know St James's Park. Away to our right hand side, single-tiered bank of fans behind what is currently Martin Dubravka's goal. And Newcastle in their black and white vertical stripes, black shorts and white socks, are right to left, attacking the end where in the gods the Manchester City fans are housed. They get the top tier and the whole strip of that stand behind the goal there. Rodri in possession, just lays it off to Mateo Kovacic. Here's Nathan Ake, who turns out to the left, looks then back infield and just rolls the ball to his goalkeeper in Edison, who is looking to keep a clean sheet outside of Manchester for the first time since the opening weekend of the season when City beat Burnley 3-0. He kept one in the Manchester derby at Old Trafford, but they are the only 2 away games in which Manchester City have kept a 0 next to the opponents. Doku offside after he came back into his own half to win the ball, so it will be a free kick to Newcastle almost on the halfway line. A little bit of pressure as City were playing it out from the back, but City did deal with that, cleared it forward, and now it's this Newcastle free kick.
It's what you expect from Newcastle. They are very good without the ball. Their press is normally really intense, but Manchester City have just slowed the game down.
Ball over the top, and Isak looks to be through onside here, right hand side of the penalty area. We'll put it across, and it's in! And it's an early goal for Newcastle, but the flag is up straight away. Well, they played the ball over the top on the right hand side. Isak squared it. I think Dan Burn was the player getting forward. Might have been Sean Longstaff as well. And Edison's injured in that process. Flag goes up, goal won't count. VAR will of course check it. Nigel Clegg on.
He's 2 yards offside, Mike. It's one of them again. Now we've got a keeper who was injured when the flag should have gone straight up. These laws are absolutely ridiculous. He's about 2 yards offside. They've had to continue it because of these laws. He's come out and make a save, he's had a clatter, and now he could be injured. Mad.
Well, VAR is checking out this afternoon. It's Peter Banks. VAR in plenty of controversy last night in the Burnley-Luton game. Kyle Walker having a word with the assistant on the far side. I think remonstrating that point is actually, if you'd called it earlier, if it was an obvious offside, now look what you've done, Edison's injured.
Yeah, it's mad. I don't get it. And going back to the incident last night with Burnley, we saw something even less so against Liverpool that was given as a foul. So they need to get this lot sorted out. Do you know what was really nice last week? In the FA Cup there was no VAR. It was actually quite refreshing.
In Sunderland, Newcastle, the FA Cup third round game, Championship grounds and below don't have VAR, so they don't have it there as we're watching the replay of Sean Longstaff's goal.
It's the wrong bit they're looking at though, Mike. It's the ball that was played through for the runners. City's line stepped up really well and played them at least 2 yards offside.
Well, it would have been Longstaff's first goal since October in the 4-0 win over Crystal Palace. Edison is still receiving treatment here. Stefan Ortega, for now, is going through some warm-ups down on the touchline towards his left-hand side. Played last weekend, Ortega, in the 5-0 win over Huddersfield. Knows his role when it comes to Premier League matches, but might be called into a little bit of early action here as Edison is surrounded by a group of players and 2 members of the medical staff.
It looks like he's struggling. It looks like he's got a plug in the thigh. He got a knee in the face as well, by the way. But what I would say is that we know these laws state that you've got to wait for that passage of play to finish, that phase, so that just in case there is offside. But it was so blatant, the flag could have gone up easily.
Kyle Walker's talking to the medical staff here. Edison is still down. Let's recap what happened. Ball was played over down the right hand side, over the top from Newcastle United, who are now allowed to knock a ball between them just to keep the legs warm and the bodies moving. Alexander Isak was offside as the ball went over on the right. He then squared it across to Langstaff, who tapped it home, but the offside was Isak's run down the right. Edison is up. That's the positive news. I wouldn't say he's exactly moving with comfort, but he will want to play on. I think Pep Guardiola will of course want to play on. Pep Guardiola is now having a word with one of his medical staff members in the technical area here just to get the full diagnosis of
it's his left
Edison's
as well,
injury.
Mike, isn't it? It's his left. and that's the one he pings with. So it takes away a little bit of City's attacking prowess.
Well, play's back underway. We've had 5 minutes on the clock, although we've barely seen a minute of action, really. Newcastle thought they might have had the early goal. Here is Edison then with his first test. And right-footed, hits it into Almiron. It'll be squared back to the Paraguayan. Maybe Longstaff again. And the blocks come in from the City defence. And instantly, Rodri is waving over to the Manchester City bench to say, get Edison off. He can't cope. He's injured. And Newcastle really want to keep this ball in play to capitalise on a struggling Manchester City goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, he is limping, and that was a golden opportunity. He's tried to play out with his right foot there, couldn't stand on his left, almost fallen over. And what an opportunity there for Gordon. He squared it, and then I think it was Almiron fell over trying to finish from the penalty spot. They should have scored that. The fans are going mad here, but Edison's done for me.
Ball out of play, kicked off Bernardo Silva. Will be a Newcastle throw midway inside their own half, but instantly, as soon as the ball went over, Edison back down on the floor. Medical staff over to treat him. So I imagine this will be the end of the evening for Edison. Manchester City 0-0 here with Newcastle United at St James's Park, but the controversy will come and the questions will be asked. I can't say I've seen a replay as we look at the complete swipe of Guimaraes initially on the shot that then Almiron couldn't convert.
He did snatch at that. It's as though it's the first time he's ever been 8 yards out with an open goal. He's just had a right flash at that, and if he goes calm and cool, City could be 1-0 down here. But as I mentioned there, Mike, the controversy will come. Why on earth, when somebody is that far offside, doesn't the flag just go up? Because we've had injuries now to various players with things that are brought back to give free kicks. It's madness.
I'd want to see it, because I haven't yet. I know you've got a TV screen in front of you. I want to see how far Isak was offside. I've not seen that photo opportunity yet to see that, but it did look convincing enough on the initial run through. And if the linesman's missed that, then I think Manchester City have even more right to be annoyed.
The linesman didn't miss it, Mike. The linesman is under instruction. As soon as Newcastle scored, he put his flag up for offside, and he didn't miss it. It's just these rules where they've got to let the phase of play finish, just in case there is anything nip and tuck about it. That's the top and bottom of it. You can't blame the linesman for doing what he's told, basically.
I'll double check, and I'll speak to the PGMOL when possible in the Premier League, but I believe that if there's an obvious offside, they can flag straight away. So it's just whether the linesman saw that in time. So substitution for Manchester City after 7.5 minutes. Edison replaced by Stefan Ortega, his second Premier League appearance of the season. The other one came just after the international break in October. City beating Brighton 2-1 at the Etihad Stadium. Edison that week had played as recently as the Wednesday night, Thursday morning here in the UK. So didn't fly back till late, didn't get back in the UK till late. So Ortega played that game. City won 2-1. And he's on the pitch now for the second week in a row. Rodri steals the ball midway inside the Newcastle half, out to the left-hand side for Jeremy Doku. And then Doku lays it back to Rodri, who's at the midway point once again in Newcastle half. A little bit of possession-based football here for Manchester City. And I guess Nigel Glegon with Nathan Ake striding forward. It highlights that point that Jolyon Lescott made on the We're Not Really Here podcast of not starting Kevin De Bruyne, because if you get that unexpected injury or that unexpected red card, injury in this case with Edison, that limits your substitutions once more, and you'd be pressuring Kevin De Bruyne into having to play a longer stint. Yeah, that's true. There'll be time for Kevin De Bruyne to come back and start games and get 50 or 60 minutes. There's no doubt about that. I didn't think Kevin De Bruyne would be going in goal, mind, I have to say, but I bet he can play there. Knowing how Pep Guardiola likes his players playing in multiple positions, wouldn't put it past him. Here's Bernardo Silva just away from the halfway line, now backs into his own half on this near side touchline. Our commentary position here, right behind the dugouts. Wow, what a place to watch this game from, Mike. We are no more than 15 yards away from Pep Guardiola, even closer to Eddie Howe. We're behind the Newcastle dugout, and 2 or 3 rows up from behind those dugouts. So a great vantage point in a great stadium. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0. Nearly 10 minutes on the clock. Big injury to Edison has opened this game. Here is Walker, pink boot strapped to his feet, nearly finds it into a gap for Bernardo Silva, who was, if he was an inch taller, he probably would have got there, but the stretch of the left leg, it ran past him and all the way through to Martin Dubravka, the Newcastle United goalkeeper. Guimaraes heads it up in the air, bounces in front of Foden, burned down on the floor, gets it into Gordon, stretched back to Sean Longstaff, the Newcastle-born Newcastle player, and And it's back with Botman, who flicks it across to Fabian Schär, the Swiss international defender. And back to Martin Dubravka, who just over a year ago was on loan at Manchester United for a 6-month spell. Can't say it was illustrious. Here's Doku weaving his way from the left-hand side, forces the ball through to the 25-yard mark away from the Newcastle goal, but the bounce fell kindly in Newcastle's favour, and the Magpies can have it right by the corner flag in their own half, send it forward. Rodri will bring it down from the clearance, play it to Bernardo Silva, gets it back. Rodri then to Kovacic into the centre circle. Here's Nathan Ake.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the game apart from the injury. Both sides are trying to get the foot on the ball and get into the game and keep it. Manchester City have been much better at it so far. Just the final pass into that attacking third from City. Once they sort that out, then we might get a few chances here.
Out to the far side for the former Manchester City academy player in Kieran Trippier. Schär will send it long up towards the halfway line. Almiron will clip it round the corner. Isak wasn't quite alert to it, and Ruben Diaz, with his lengthening brown hair at the minute, lets it run forward for Bernardo Silva, fellow Portuguese international teammate. Jeremy Doku in from the left-hand touchline, the far side as we look at it. Kovacic squares, 0-0 the score. City building with Rodri just away from the box, into Kovacic, rotated round to Foden, a stretch for Alvarez, back to Foden in the D, never had the room to shoot, and here's Kyle Walker to clip it back to the centre circle and Nathan Ake.
Yeah, but they're just probing there around that edge of the box, Mike. The pass was short and sharp, and just waiting for a runner to get in behind. Good defending from Newcastle, but patience from Manchester City here.
Well, we have played around about 11 minutes, 0-0. Rodri to Kovacic, who just shoulders off the challenge of Lewis Miley. Young Lewis Miley, 17 years old, his 10th Premier League appearance this afternoon, the Newcastle youngster. The first under 18-year-old to make 10 Premier League appearances since Luke Shaw and Raheem Sterling in the 2012-13 season. Shaw for Southampton and Sterling for Liverpool. So a little bit of history there for Lewis Miley. Here is Joško Vardiol to Rodri in the centre of the field for Manchester City, midway inside the Newcastle half. Uses Ruben Diaz, who takes a big touch with his right boot to the right corner of the penalty area on the near side. Kyle Walker lays it infield. Here is Kovacic to Rodri, who could have taken that alone, I think, and tried to find Julian Alvarez, and the pass wasn't the best from Rodri on the square. Little knock to the left-hand side, and it's cleared away by the home side.
Looked like City were just going to open them up there. There was some really neat passing down this right-hand side. Short, sharp, little runs in behind. Didn't quite finish off for the final pass. City in total control at the moment, though, Mike.
They are, despite some opening moments which saw concern to the goalkeeper Edison. Foden into the penalty area, left-hand side, wants to square it for Alvarez, takes a deflection off Sven Botman, and it's behind for a Manchester City corner on the far side.
That's what they're looking for. City played in there, got Foden on the half turn, received on his back foot to go forward. I just thought he should have hit for goal. He's not far away. He should have opened up there and really hit the far corner there.
Well, just like Julian Alvarez, 4 goals in his last 4 games for Phil Foden as well. Now, corner far side, Julian Alvarez to take. Manchester City's left, in swinging delivery, scooped right up into the air to the back post. Bernardo Silva was waiting for it to fall. It was headed away, though, in the end by Lewis Miley. And now Guimaraes will try and set Newcastle on the attack. Clatters into Joško Vardiol. Free kick goes in the favour of Newcastle United, just away from the penalty area near side.
Good foul for both teams there. Newcastle can't break because City broke up play, but also I didn't think Guimaraes actually fancied running against those 3 Manchester City players.
Early today in the Premier League, Chelsea beating Fulham 1-0 at Stamford Bridge by a goal to 0. Locally, here on BBC Radio Manchester, Wigan, valuable point on the road at Northampton, 1-1 there. Stockport beat Walsall 3-1 to stay top of League 2, and the first win since October in League 2 for Salford City. Carl Robinson's first win in his 2nd game in charge. Crawley 0, Salford 1. It finished. Bolton's game at home to Cheltenham abandoned earlier today due to a medical emergency in the crowd, a suspected cardiac arrest for a supporter, and that supporter has since been taken to hospital. We will update when we can. Ortega has it and clears it left-footed up towards the halfway line. Stefan Ortega playing in goal after Edison was injured inside the opening couple of minutes. We've played nearly quarter of an hour. 0-0 the score, halfway line for Newcastle. That's a dangerous ball down the right-hand side, and now the offside flag goes up instantaneously on Miguel Almiron. I think that was closer than the one that caused Edison's injury.
Strange enough, Mike, so did I was thinking you can't put your flag up for this one. but the ball's played in behind, and that's come from some sloppy play.
He's well offside.
He's well offside, just like the last one.
And here's Kyle Walker with a long ball received on the right-hand side. His touch just guided it into Dan Burn, and Newcastle have recovered.
Yeah, he tried to take that 40-yard pass on the run, but Manchester City, that chance for Newcastle's come from some sloppy play. Bernardo Silva hitting the ball against the City player, playing it back, and then sloppy play on the left-hand side.
Well, he's definitely on now as Trippier slides in. Almiron, who puts it into the penalty area. Isak tries to get in ahead of Ruben Diaz. The last touch is a Newcastle one from Isak, and it's behind for a goal kick down the right-hand side. Low ball into the penalty area. Isak and Diaz in a race. Rodri's now barking at Ruben Diaz, and the referee says goal kick Manchester City.
That would have been close as well, Mike. However, that does seem to be an area that Newcastle are trying to exploit down that left-hand side. Vardiol is a sort of a centre-back playing left-back, so they will try and exploit it down there. But that's a good chance. Good movement from Isak, covered by Diaz, meant he didn't get a clear shot.
9 goals in 15 this season for Alexander Isak coming into today's game. He only got 10 in 22 Premier League games in the whole of last season. Now this looks promising for City, with space opening in front of them. Rodri with a lovely curling ball out to the left-hand side. Uses Jeremy Doku, brings it back in field. Kovacic couldn't get the ball out of his feet. Bernardo Silva over the bar, but the ball was behind him. He's trying to scoop it around his foot on the volley. Any contact would have been a positive for Bernardo Silva, but over the bar it goes. Goal kick Newcastle. It's 0-0 here at St James's Park.
What an absolute fantastic break there from Manchester City. Played out from the back very quickly. Foden outside the left foot into Rodri, in through to Doku. Doku had a chance, just missed it, popped up for Bernardo, and he's just put it over the bar. But that's a threat Manchester City have when they get that ball in free play and can go forward quickly.
And that's what Newcastle will be concerned about. Eddie Howe particularly, who's lost 12 of 13 games against Pep Guardiola as a manager, and the other one was a draw, the 3-3 draw in the Premier League here last season. Alvarez, right hand side of the penalty area. City building here, Foden on the turn, comes to Jeremy Doku on the volley, smacks it straight into Cher, and Newcastle clear it on the rebound up towards the halfway line. Jeremy Doku, who scored a volley last weekend, very nearly had another there.
Excellent again. City are knocking on the door, there's no doubt about that. You look at that ball into that box, excellent play, and then you just think, go and finish it. And it last-ditch blocks, 2 last-ditch blocks there. City are in control of this game now, and Newcastle, well, they might have a long afternoon unless they can get themselves the first goal.
And we've played 17 minutes. It is 0-0. Total Sport, BBC Radio Manchester. Newcastle, who lost their last home game here against Nottingham Forest, haven't lost back-to-back home games since the 2 games before Eddie Howe took charge, and they might be on set for a defeat here, with Alvarez taking the shot that deflects off a defender. Burn volleys it sky high in the air, more vertical than horizontal, gets under the second ball though to head it clear. And City really starting to turn the screw on Newcastle United here. Rodri, centre of the field, midway inside the Newcastle half, quick 1-2 with Kovacic. Bernardo, Walker on the right hand touchline, the near side. And here's Bernardo Silva again. Rodri, Bernardo once more.
Foden in that little pocket. Again, here he goes again.
Trying to work his way centrally. Still going Phil Foden. Uses Doku to his left-hand side. Doku with the shot. Takes a deflection. And that'll be a second corner in this game to Manchester City.
Foden's been superb in the last, 5 minutes there. He's created 2 chances. And he's just receiving in that little pocket, just in between the lines. And he's getting on the half turn. And he's played an exquisite pass into Alvarez, who just put his shot past, it was blocked. And then that one to Doku. Again, he's receiving on the back foot to go forward, plays it off, and then Doku just hits a man. Corner ball.
Which Alvarez will take. Far side, City's left. This one is short, with a bit of pace hitting towards Kovacic. Now Bernardo Silva back out wide to Julian Alvarez again. Newcastle players remain in the penalty area, as do the City defenders of Ake and Co. Walker drills it low, well wide of the left-hand post from a good 25 yards out. 0-0 goal kick.
Yeah, well, as we say, Manchester City have just got the bit between the teeth here. They look like a team who hasn't been beaten for a little while. 6 games and or 7 wins and one draw in the last 8. They look like that team. Their confidence exuding, the way they're passing through the thirds into midfield and then starting to exploit space between the lines has been excellent.
Confidence building, including within that 8-game unbeaten run that they're on at the moment. Manchester City, the reason the gold badges of the FIFA Club World Cup are on their sky blue shirts in the middle of the chest this afternoon. after winning that against Fluminense just before Christmas. Offside goes up 5 yards or so inside the Manchester City half, so free kick to the Blues. Pep Guardiola sat down in his dugout for now as Eddie Howe has a word with Jason Tindall and scribbles down some notes, places his notepad into his pocket and watches on from the sideline. Guardiola's up again. Here's Bernardo Silva just to the right hand side of the centre circle. Manchester City in sky blue from left to right in this first half. We played 20 minutes and it's not been without incident. The City have had plenty of shots in the last 5 minutes, or chances at least. At the other end, Edison's gone off injured for Manchester City. We'll bring you that as at the end of full time when we get to speak to Pep Guardiola. Oh, Kovacic caught incredibly late by Bruno Guimaraes, and that will be another yellow card for the Newcastle United midfielder, who's now been booked in his last 6 games in all competitions.
Wow.
Not scared of a challenge.
No, he's not. Well, he's not from. He's from the other continent, isn't he? And they do like a challenge. Brazilian, I believe. They do like a challenge. You know what? He's a good player. It's nice that he's on the booking now, because he'll have to be a little bit more careful, and that means City's midfielders will get a little bit more time in there. When Doku comes in off the line, he comes and plays as a second 10 with Phil Foden in the middle there, and Vardiol goes and plays wide and high. So that means they're trying to overload that central area and make it difficult, and they're narrowing Newcastle up so they can go wide or through the middle.
Long ball over to the right hand side. Walker's made the run. Dan Burn will track him. He's in between box and touchline at the minute. Kyle Walker, who lays it off to Bernardo Silva, gets it on his left foot, loves a curling effort. Bernardo, that one he couldn't make work. It's deflected and carried away, but only to Ruben Diaz. Rodri to Bernardo, to Kyle Walker, and then back to Bernardo under a bit of pressure from Anthony Gordon, who signed last January. He's had a year here in the northeast after moving from Everton. 6 goals this season for Anthony Gordon as well, but none since the winner against Manchester United back at the start of December. 0-0 here with Ruben Diaz on the ball midway inside the Newcastle United half. Foden drops deep to offer that support and then just flicks it to the pretend centre back at the minute, Bernardo Silva.
He plays everywhere, Bernardo, doesn't he? Unbelievable. But going back to Anthony Gordon, that sort of mirrors the form that Newcastle are in. He hasn't scored since early December, and he was on fire earlier on, and that sort of helped carry Newcastle. He can be a threat, but he's doing a lot of defending now. I'd rather see him here than going the other way, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Midway through the first half then, Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0. With the Newcastle crowd quietened by Manchester City's heavy amounts of possession at the moment. Walker just skips past Anthony Gordon down this near side touchline, but he's reversing back into his own half. Rodri, Doku has space to turn. Alvarez will go on the run. Out to the left hand side is Joško Vardiol, who carries the ball infield, lays it off to Rodri. Walker's made a run. Rodri lifts it over the top to Kyle Walker, cushions it down, lays it back to Bernardo. Corner of the penalty area, now to the edge of the D for Rodri, into a bit of space for Vardiol. Nice feet to turn to the left hand side, just ran out of room. The City have recovered that quickly enough on the Newcastle block. Doku has a look over to his manager in Pep Guardiola. Here is Bernardo, Rodri and Kovacic.
That was excellent there from Doku. He's coming as that number 10, the second number 10. Received and played a great ball out to Vardiol, who's playing more like a left winger than a left back. City are dominating possession now. Newcastle are just camped out in a low block, hoping for something to happen, City to make a mistake so that they can counter.
Speaking to our colleagues at BBC Newcastle earlier today, and I was asking them how they feel about tonight's game, and the message was quite simply just get through it. Not very confident at all at the moment, the Newcastle end of the BBC, and
with good reason though, Mike. When you're watching
absolutely.
This, I mean, City are in total control. Some of the football they're playing is excellent. They're killing it. They're taking the pace out again when they need to. City are very good at slow, quick, slow football.
Another ball over the top from Rodri. Walker didn't get the control he wants, runs to the byline. Now he's able to cross it in deep. Should be a header away by Trippier. It's a good header away as well, as it falls to the feet of Anthony Gordon on this near side from that far side of the penalty area. Now Gordon fancies papers against Diaz, who cuts across in. Referee with a shake of the head. Many of the Newcastle faithful and Eddie Howe, the Newcastle manager, feel that Ruben Diaz only had eyes to shove Anthony Gordon out of the way. Gordon's clattered into a camera down by the dugout on this near side, but he's padding around the base of the camera, and he's slowly getting to his feet, realising that a free kick won't be given at all, let alone in his favour. Guardiola on move with his arms folded, doesn't even look. It's 0-0. A little bit of an edge to this game. It was cheeky from Ruben Diaz, but was it fair, Nigel Gleghorn?
In my book, it's fair because I've been in those situations myself. When somebody's got that sort of pace, you don't. The rule is, Mike, the ball goes past, the man goes past, but not both. Ruben Diaz, the ball went past, and he just made sure he didn't. He rode him out. Could have given obstruction for it, but that's about all.
Walker, an acre of space on the right-hand side, given by Doku. He puts it into the penalty, and it's flicked on and in by Bernardo Silva. And Manchester City's persistence pays off. It's not gone all their own way, but Bernardo scores against Newcastle once again. Celebrates in the corner, a delicate flick to take it past Dubravka, and it's Newcastle United 0, Manchester City 1.
Well, Newcastle never regained their poise or shape from the foul down by this side where we are on Gordon. It's 50-50, it could have gone their way and it didn't. Just get on with it. But the attack down this side, Walker received the balls, played it in, and I think it was Bernardo's come across in the middle of the goal and just flicked it into the bottom corner. Well, I think it might be his right foot, but that's been coming, Mike. City have dominated possession, dominated area.
Well, Newcastle left loads of space on the right-hand side. Low ball from Doku, found Kyle Walker, squared it across the box. It's a sensational back heel, isn't it, really, from Bernardo Silva with his right boot, drags it behind him. It's sensational. It's a lovely flick.
It's a hard volley as well. That makes it even harder. It's absolutely, he's let it go past his left foot because it's behind him, and then he's just more or less let it hit his back foot. He hasn't flicked it hard because he doesn't need to. There's pace on the ball. That's it. That's a footballer, a master at work. That.
In the aftermath of that, whilst the City players celebrated in the corner, Dan Burn went straight over to Ruben Diaz. Where that goal started from was Diaz's push on Gordon on this near side on the halfway line. Once Gordon knocked the ball past Diaz, and Dan Burn, the ex-Wigan defender, now here at Newcastle after a bit of time in Brighton, was most definitely not happy with the referee allowing play on, or the decision, or Ruben Diaz's antics, and he made sure that Ruben Diaz knew about that as well. Newcastle on the right-hand side looking for an equaliser, skipping ball into the penalty area from Kieran Trippier. He's hit away by Nathan Ake, but only out to the far side, 10 yards from the byline, and now Newcastle in a tussle for it by the corner flag on that far side. Vardiol in Manchester City's corner, rigorously defending the ball. He goes out of play for a throw-in.
Certainly an edge now, Mike, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, if City weren't angered enough by the delayed flag on Edison, and which Ortega's had to replace in Newcastle, in return will be angered by no official intervention on the foul, possibly, of Anthony Gordon from Ruben Diaz, which led to Manchester City's goal. The Blues leading 1-0, 28 minutes played.
We're a strange breed, Mike, us footballers. You know, we want to do what we want to do, but their opposition aren't allowed.
5-on-5 here for Manchester City against Newcastle. Attacking perspective with Foden into the penalty area. Right foot shot went for the near post and wide, and Dubravka knew that, let it glide past as well, and behind for a goal kick.
Kids, watch Alvarez. If you're going to watch a runner, he's run to create some space for Foden to come back in on his left foot. He might not get the ball, and he didn't, but he didn't bust his gut to make sure that Phil Foden got some space for a shot. I've seen Dan Burn do exactly that on numerous occasions, so he can't complain. That's what footballers do.
Well, Newcastle have played it against Doku. Alvarez, Bernardo again! Saved by Dubravka, and it's off the bar and carries away towards this near side. Newcastle sloppy at the back. Doku into Alvarez, and he saw Bernardo's run, and the Portuguese midfielder very nearly had two in this game. And now it's Vardiol's turn to step forward. Vardiol on the edge of the D. You don't want your left back there, and he skips it up and over the bar. Goal kick.
Well, he stepped onto it like a number 10 and hit it like a number 3. But that was excellent play, the way he read that and stepped on. Newcastle have gone to pieces, and that's because City have been relentless in their pursuit of another goal. They've been excellent, Manchester City, here. Doku's been influential going forward. The midfield's controlled by Kovacic and Rodri. Foden's been bright, but I have to say, Bernardo Silva, he is on fire at the moment.
Dan Burn flicks it on. Anthony Gordon's offside, and the whistle goes. And free kick to Manchester City. Half an hour gone in this game. I have to say it's flown by.
It has, Mike. It's been excellent. And these are the types of games you want to see. Two of the top teams in the country, and I know Newcastle have dropped a little bit, but they're still a handful for most teams. They're not been much of a handful for City at the moment, though.
Well, at home, 24 points this season so far for Newcastle here at St James's Park, only bettered by Aston Villa on 28 and Liverpool on 27. 5 points is all Newcastle have won away from home. They do most of their work here at St James's Park. Out of the Champions League, though, so they will look for a strong second half of the season. They're going for the FA Cup as well in that desperate search for silverware. Flicks over the top. Ake will head away from the Manchester City penalty area. Almiron ready to pounce. Guimaraes and Rodri go 50-50 for the ball. Rodri wins it out towards the left-hand side for Kovacic, who tries to backheel it. He's got to be clever there because Newcastle with Almiron in on the right. And Diaz sees that away before it gets to Isak. Throw into Newcastle on the far side, 10 yards from the byline.
So you just need to be careful. Don't give the black and whites any momentum whatsoever. That was poor from Kovacic. Trying to be a bit tricky there, and the back heel intercepted. Give them a chance near post. And Isak does try to look around that near post to get a tap in.
Well, he nearly got the better of Ruben Diaz early on in this game. And was offside for the Newcastle ball that hit the back of the net. But his run down the right was eventually ruled out offside by VAR. We've played 31 minutes. It is Newcastle 0, Manchester City 1 on BBC Radio Manchester's Total Sport earlier. Draw for Wigan in League One away at Northampton. Bolton's game at Cheltenham suspended and abandoned because of a medical emergency in the crowd. That supporter has since been taken to hospital. Stockport 3, Walsall 1, and Crawley 0, Salford 1. The latest score. Headed down here. Mistake by Manchester City on the clearance as Isak's in again. That needed a save from Ortega, and it bounces away and out for a corner on the far side.
At the moment, Mike, it doesn't look like Newcastle are going to really create anything. But playing out, Manchester City have got themselves in some real trouble there. Ortega's taken far too long. Isaac's closed him down and nearly gets himself a chance from that. They need to be a little bit more on it when they're playing out from the back. They need to be sharper. Keeper got caught again there.
A bit sloppy in the last few moments. 32 minutes played. City leading 1-0. Corner is rolled along the byline from Newcastle. Isak comes close to get it. Back to Trippier. Then knocked in by Gordon. Flicks up off the base of Kovacic's boot. Now Ortega's got to be careful. Goal kick given as the ball came towards this near side of the penalty area. He couldn't pick it up because I'm not sure whether he got there in time, but he did enough, and it's gone behind for a Manchester City goal kick. Ruben Diaz carrying the ball, so I suspect he will take it. Goal, by the way, in the Championship 5:30 kickoff. Ipswich Town 0, Sunderland 1. Sunderland beaten by Newcastle last week in the FA Cup third round. Have perhaps ambitions of getting back to the Premier League, in and around the playoff places at the moment. Sunderland, and they're leading by a goal to 0. Michael Beale now in charge there. Oh, Burness slipped just on the halfway line, and Foden can carry the ball forward here. 3-on-3. Foden gives it to Alvarez right hand side of the penalty area. He'll go alone. Dubravka saves, spills it, and turns it around for a corner. Well, that was all about Dan Burton's mistake on the halfway line, and City pounced.
Yeah, he was dealing with the ball, no problem there. Phil Foden's put him under some pressure. Not really too much, because he didn't think he was going to get it. And then all of a sudden, a slip, and Alvarez is in after a pass from Foden.
Short corner taken by Alvarez to Bernardo Silva on this near side, then rolled into Kovacic on the byline. He'll back away from the penalty area, lay it back to the initial corner taker of Alvarez. Foden spins, purple boots strapped to his feet. There's a multitude of colours out there, with Kyle Walker wearing pink boots and Julian Alvarez here in bright red as Bernardo Silva with plain white boots gets to the right corner of the penalty area. Now Rodri back to Foden, heavy touch and cleared away by Newcastle's number 5 in Fabian Schär. Vardiol tried to slide it down the left channel for Nathan Ake. Now the challenge is come in for Newcastle to get the crowd going, to win the ball back. They're not even at the halfway line yet as Guimaraes scoops it over the top. Isak in on Walker here. Isak to the edge of the penalty area. On his right foot, curling 1-1. Well, it's a brilliant goal for Alexander Isak. His 10th of the season. Newcastle wanted that ball more. Lovely ball by Guimaraes. And Isak bends it around Ortega. 1-1.
Got to say, Mike, that's the type of goal Manchester City do concede. Early ball played quickly from Guimaraes over the top to Isak. Walker's done really well getting back, but then what he's done is, instead of showing him on his left foot, he's shown him on his right foot, which brings the goal into play, and he's curled it beautifully past Ortega. He's just got to stand a little bit more to his left and the right of Isaac, and he does better. He steps inside, make him go down the left hand side. Poor defending, good initially, then poor at the end.
Isak's right-footed curl there for 18 yards from goal, as Kyle Walker was the last man back for City. Lovely bending shot, Ortega outstretched. It's a fine finish from the Swede, who matches his tally from last season in Newcastle a level.
Kyle Walker there was caught between two. He had Isaac in his sights. However, the run from Gordon meant he was in a 2v1 situation. Gordon's not the problem. He's got to stop Isaac first. Then if it goes to Gordon, then it's not his problem. He can get there as quick as he can.
Lovely long ball from Ortega to Foden, and now City looking to get themselves back ahead in this game. Doku challenged by Dan Burn, who will clear it out for a throw-in on this near right-hand side of Manchester City. City, who have been so dominant really from about minute 3 onwards, caught on the break and punished.
Should be out of sight, no doubt.
Doku trying to get clarity again as swipes it across the box on the right-hand side. It comes to Vardiol, low shot. That's blocked by Cher. Trippier. And then Almiron will just easily guide his way past Kovacic on the far side touchline, but can't advance very far. Bernardo Silva doing his job. Ipswich have got a leveller in a game against another North East side in the Championship, 1-1 at Portman Road. And now there's space for Gordon down the left. Isak trying to get in the middle. Gordon into the penalty area left-hand side. Walker squares up against him. Now it's Gordon! It's another bending effort around Kyle Walker and around Stefan Ortega, and in 2 minutes Newcastle have gone from 1-0 down to 2-1 up, and St James's Park explodes. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1.
Well, if anybody saw this coming, they must be clairvoyant, because Newcastle have been down and out for 30 minutes of this game. The last 5 minutes have come to life. A very similar goal has gone into Gordon, and Kyle Walker stood him up. He needs a second defender to come across to block that shot. He steps inside onto his right and curls it in the far corner yet again. But that should come, there might be a VAR check here, but that should actually come, Mike, with the second defender, Diaz, coming across to block the shot.
Gordon gets his goal, his first since the start of December, his 7th of the season. How much concern from Manchester City that both of those goals were so alike, Nigel Gleghorn?
Well, it will be a concern, because generally down this side of the pitch where Kyle Walker is, teams don't get much change. They've scored 2 goals from here. With the first one, Kyle Walker was left 2v1. Early ball, he's dealt with the first bit early, but then he's thought the ball was going to be played by Isaac into the running Gordon. He didn't. He stepped inside and curled it far post. Second one there, Walker's done well. He stood him up. He's come inside onto his right foot. The problem lies with Diaz, who didn't quite close that space down quick enough to become a 2v1, and that would have hit Diaz had he stepped out earlier, and that's why it's ended up in the back of the net.
Oh, Doku's got pace here. He's round the back of Botman. Doku into the penalty area. Botman recovers brilliantly. It has to be said, you'd fancy Doku all day long on his pace as he got into the left-hand side. And it's going to be a corner at best for Manchester City.
Didn't quite get that first touch out of his feet there. If he had, Botman would have been dead in the water. This is not over yet, mate. This could end up a 5-4, this one.
We had a cracker last year, 3-3, Newcastle against Manchester City then. Tight affairs in the League and Cup this season. City 1-0 at the Etihad. Newcastle won the League Cup game 1-0. Here at St James's Park. Alvarez's corner, bent in. Head from Dan Burn, flicks it on. It'll run towards the corner flag on this near side. Rodri will let it go over the touchline for a throw-in. A couple of yards from the byline. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. And we've got 6 minutes of the first half normal time to play. There will be injury time due to the foul on Edison earlier on in the game. City 5 points behind leaders Liverpool. With this game, they'd be level on games. Liverpool play next weekend. Here's Rodri. Kyle Walker right-hand side. Foden's made the run down the channel, not to be used. Bernardo Silva with another flick behind him, this time only to Rodri. Bernardo is Manchester City's goal scorer in this game. As it stands, played 20, Liverpool top 45, Aston Villa 42. City would have 40, level on points with Arsenal and a point ahead of Spurs. Here's Kovacic. Manchester City need more points in the second half of the season than they did in the first half, that's for certain. They're a point behind their lowest tally that they collected under Pep Guardiola to win a title, any of the 5 that they've won under Guardiola. Here is Doku, in from the left, but challenged too easily. And Newcastle can bring that away, and are doing so with Lewis Miley, who will look for the run of Isak, and Diaz has got to keep pace and he can't. Isak's in again, but Ortega makes the save, stands tall, and it hits his chest and bounces away to the midway point. Newcastle are sensing blood here as it slid into the penalty area, right hand side. Isak tries to cross it in, it hits Nathan Ake, and it's out for a corner.
I've mentioned this before, Mike, about the lack of pace that City have in the central area of the pitch with the 2 centre-backs. It gets exposed, it's just been exposed again there, it gets exposed regularly. And I know Manchester City generally have, 70% possession, but Newcastle are using their 30% pretty well at the moment and look very, very bright on the break. I think City need to sit somebody in front, stop them breaking on us as quick as they are.
Corner goes in, Diaz heads it away. Almiron will be first to react to it, but he's got his back to goal, so sends it back towards the centre circle. Here is Longstaff, right-footed, clip ball up, back for Almiron on the stretch. Tried the karate kick manoeuvre to keep it in play, but he couldn't. He goes behind for a goal kick. 4 minutes to half-time. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. Those possession stats that Nigel Glegon was on about. City 71%, Newcastle 29%, but it's the Geordies who are winning.
It just feels like that. It feels like City have had... And I can't put my finger on it. City have total control of this game, and then a 2-1 down. It shouldn't be. City have had chances. That's not the concerning part for me, because City create chances. It's how Newcastle have got 2 goals from playing in behind City on a regular basis.
Well, the analysts are off to the changing rooms with their laptops. They walk in front of us and down the steps pitch side. It is blasted away by Newcastle as City build towards the edge of the penalty area. They're trailing by 2 goals to 1. And we talk about how strong Manchester City need to be in the second half of the season. Need to be strong in the second half here if they're to get anything out of the game. 2-1 down against Newcastle, 3 minutes to half time. Free kick given to City, which angers Eddie Howe and the Newcastle faithful once more, involving Ruben Diaz, but the free kick given in City's favour. Here is Rodri inside the centre circle. City trailing by 2 goals to 1. They took the lead through Bernardo Silva, who since has hit the crossbar as well. Saved by Dubravka, pushing it onto the woodwork. Here's Walker, back to Ruben Diaz. And City will have to be patient from the back.
10 minutes ago, Mike, I'd have said Newcastle need the half-time. Now it's a little bit 50-50. City need a half-time just to get themselves back in the right frame.
Trippier stolen in front of Vardiol here, heads up to the penalty area, puts the ball right across the 6-yard box, and it bounces behind for a goal kick from that right-hand side. Dangerous from Trippier. And Manchester City will be pleased with the respite. Pep Guardiola puts his hands in his pockets, stares down at the floor. Work to do for the Manchester City boss, who has talent to bring on should he need to from the bench. Jack Grealish, Kevin De Bruyne, Matthias, Oscar Bob, all available as attacking players to Pep Guardiola maybe in the second half. City trail 2-1, 2 minutes to the break, plus whatever's added on. Dan Burn with a big header inside the centre circle. Nathan Ake then returns it to the halfway line. Trippier down the right again. Ortega's come well out of his goal, and Almiron can't guide it home, and the offside flag's up anyway. Delayed flag once again, story of the game. And Almiron sends it over Ortega, who made the wrong decision in my head there.
Once again though, Mike, I know he's offside there, but a ball played over the top of Manchester City's defence in that sort of central right area there, or central left as City is lined up. But it's concerning that it's so easy for teams to play in behind City as they do.
Diaz to the right-hand side for Kyle Walker, midway inside the Newcastle half. The sky blue shirts of Manchester City looking to get an equaliser just before half-time as we enter the final minute of the first 45 here under the jet black skies of St James's Park. Quite a mild night in the northeast, quite warm for January in these parts of the world, it has to be said. Big coats are on, yes, but some of them are open at the zip. Here is Foden to the edge of the D. Slide challenge comes in, he evades that. Can't evade the second one that comes in from Botman. The ball runs away towards the far side touchline. Here's Kovacic. Rodri square to him. He's got Isak all over the back of him. Uses his upper body strength well enough there. Rodri and Kovacic can move to a more central position. It is Alvarez to poke it on through to Kyle Walker. Walker just away from the penalty area, right hand side, gives it back in field to Alvarez. Rodri central, scoops it up over the top. That's going to go nowhere near Doku, and easily into the hands of Martin Dubravka.
Yeah, it's lovely to see Rodri play a pass like that. Just missed his mark by about five metres there, but City will be calm enough. Once they get in that changing room, get themselves sorted, they will be calm enough. There's still 8 minutes left.
Yeah,
the ward's just gone up. 8 minutes to go, and that's because of the injury to Ederson earlier on. But City just need to regroup a little bit, remember what they were doing so well earlier on in the game, and get back to it.
Down the right goes Almiron, clatters with Vardiol. 50-50 now. Bernardo goes down, and the referee allows that one to run on as well. Ball with Trippier, right hand side, cross comes in. Gordon will go on the stretch. Ortega will be first to react to it as it runs towards the byline, keeps it in within his 18-yard box, and gathers and can run to the edge of his penalty area. But there is plenty of time here for Manchester City then. 8 minutes shown by Tim Robinson, the fourth official. Manchester City trailing by 2-1, having led through the man who's just returned the ball to Stefan Ortega, Bernardo Silva. And Ortega sends it up towards the halfway line, but it's an easy knockdown for Dan Burn, and Newcastle back in possession again. Flick round by Guimaraes. Here's Almiron, waits for Miley on the overlap. Miley's crossing now. Gordon on the header. It's flicked up in the air. Isak on the volley. No, he couldn't make a clean connection either. Two missed opportunities there for Newcastle. Then Foden fouled, and that's going to be a free kick on the edge of the box for Manchester City away to our left-hand side.
Yeah, another chance for Newcastle there. Playing down the City's left-hand side. Another cross comes in. Anthony Gordon can't head. It drops down. Silva just luckily gets the ball away. I think City are architects of their own problems.
Doku gets towards the byline. Can he keep it in play? Deflects behind corner. It has gone out of play. Linesman flags on this near side. How he quite saw that through a load of netting in two posts, I'm not sure. I think it's the right decision, but
yeah, me too.
Guesswork maybe.
Yeah, but same as me there, but Mike. But I think Doku hasn't played as well as he can. I don't think he's controlled the ball and made his dribbles count when he's been caught with the ball too often. He's got to slow himself down and pick his dribble better, or I think Grealish will have more control out on that side. Even though I think Doku's an exciting player, tonight he just hasn't been quite at it.
Rodri goes down in pain, but City are coming forward with Foden to Doku on the left corner of the penalty area. Squeezes it back through to Foden in the box, but he'll have to turn away from goal. Lays it out wide to Joško Vardiol. Ruben Diaz just marshalling the play as the ball runs across this near side. Gordon intercepts, and Rodri still down inside the centre circle, clutching his right ankle. He's going to have to get up, and of course the Newcastle fans therefore think a bit of play acting was involved. Guimaraes is facing his own goal here on this near side left of Newcastle. Gordon flattened again by Kyle Walker. Free kick, and there's plenty of remonstrations just to our right hand side from the Magpie fans that want a yellow card for Kyle Walker, and he's going to get one as well.
What's happened, Mike, is the Rodri foul. He was fouled by Guimaraes just as he released the ball. He went down, he did catch him, he went down like a pro would, looking for the second yellow, and then it didn't come. So what's happened down here is Walker's seen a chance to use his body and whack him one. And then Rodri, because he then has sought retribution against Guimaraes, and he's given a right whack, has been booked. But if they go to VAR, Guimaraes could have been booked earlier on.
Well, VAR will of course check, because it can, particularly on red card incidents. Rodri booked for too many words, choice words perhaps, to the referees. Going back, I'd leave it, Rodri, if I were you. And the last thing Manchester City need is going down to 10 in this game. Rodri's still talking with Chris Kavanagh.
They need to get him away.
I think Walker's escaped the booking, hasn't he?
Well, it wasn't a booking, it was his shoulder. It was just a clap, coming together of bodies there, and Walker's just stronger than him. Unlucky.
It's a couple of times that Anthony Gordon in this game has felt the strength of the Manchester City side.
Tell you what, that's if I was like Kyle Walker against him, that's exactly what I would do.
I think Rodri was the foul on Gordon as well, wasn't it? 0800 218 2255 to have your say, by the way. 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Start your message with the word Mank. We would love to hear your take on this Fascinating first half at St James's Park. The challenge made on Kovacic as he stretched into the Newcastle territory, but fair foul as well, fair tackle. It's not a foul, is it, if it's fair?
Almiron's brilliant at that recovery. He doesn't half help his defence out brilliantly.
And you can also get in touch at BBC Sport on X as well. What's happened here? Offside given against Newcastle, so free kick to City on the far side touchline. 2-1 Newcastle lead. We played 5 of the additional 8 first half minutes, of which a large part of that was due to the injury of Edison right at the start of the game. From a controversial decision to allow play to go on from a Newcastle offside, it then resulted in Isak and Edison clattering together. Diaz intercepts the ball just away from the centre circle. Here is Diaz to Bernardo Silva. So Ortega's in goal. I don't think you can blame him for either of the 2 goals City have conceded. I think more of the finger will be pointed at Kyle Walker at the end of this first half, perhaps.
And that would be harsh, to be fair. He did lots of very good stuff. He was just dealing with the 2v1 for the first goal, and then somebody not coming across and blocking the shot for the second one.
Both goals for Newcastle very similar in bending from the left side of the box around Ortega and into the far right corner as we look at it. Newcastle 2, City 1. 2 minutes left of this first half then as Kovacic comes forward, lays it out wide to Doku, who will just stall the play for now, tries to put it into the 6-yard box, deflects behind. Manchester City corner on the far side left.
Doku's had a little bit of a struggle tonight with an end product. He's found himself dribbling and getting caught with the ball or hitting the first man with a cross. He's not really moved the ball offline so that he can find a cross to get in. He's just having a bit of a struggle tonight.
Only just coming back from injury. Jeremy Doku did score last weekend in his first game back, first Premier League game since December. Corner comes in then, Dubravka tries to punch away and gets lucky as he falls to ground. The ball falls right at him, and then, I mean, if anything had come from that, would have undoubtedly seen more controversy with the goalkeeper and VAR.
He did get lucky, by the way. There was absolutely no foul there.
And 2 of his own players, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then he's punched it, or sort of punched it, and it's bounced off somebody else and dropped into him, and then dropped into his hands, off his nose.
Into the final minute.
Lucky.
Well, it's Newcastle with a nose in front at the minute. 2-1. Doku loses the ball. There'll be a final flourish from Newcastle with Isak coming in from the right-hand side. Only has Gordon ahead of him. Flicks it behind him. Clever ball to Guimaraes, who then wanted someone out on the right-hand side in Trippier or Almiron. Neither there. Manchester City had a throw-in.
See, Newcastle have been quite dangerous on this counter-attack from deep. Once you start building play, they're not quite as adept at that. So City just need to be careful and stop this ball from getting played. So you put pressure on the ball to stop it going over the top, or you drop a little bit deeper to let them build so you can come and get them tight instead of leaving space in behind.
Walker being careful under pressure from Gordon, just away from his own penalty area. Bernardo Silva gets the loose ball, knocks it back to Ruben Diaz. And then he sends it long out towards the left-hand side. Joško Vardiol's in space, brings it down on the chest, but that will be that for the end of the first half. And well, Bernardo's brilliance with his goal to flick it behind him on his right boot to send it into the far corner. All forgotten because 2 goals in 2 minutes for Newcastle United, both bending efforts into the far corner. One from Isak and one from Gordon. Mean at the break, it is Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 1.
Wow, what a breathless first half that was, Nigel Gleghorn. It had a bit of everything, didn't it?
That was absolutely brilliant. City have controlled the majority of it and still going 2-1 down.
Yeah, they must be scratching their heads about how.
Well, they shouldn't be scratching their heads, Bill, because it happens on a regular basis. The goals that City concede are generally down to balls being played in over the top and then a race in behind towards the goal. And that's what's happened here. Look, Kyle Walker has got back twice to get himself in a good position. The first one, there was a run by Gordon which took his eye, so he sort of half-stepped to cover that, and then it was curled in the far corner. He should have stayed with the ball, allowed the ball to go to Gordon, and deal with whatever happens after that. The second one, he got himself in a good position, and then Diaz was coming across to give him a hand, but he didn't step close enough to the ball, and when he's hit it, it's gone round both Walker and Diaz into the far corner. So 2 very similar goals, and just at this level, that minute detail has cost City 2 goals. But going forward, City and Bernardo Silva especially have been outstanding. They just can't get that finish in the attacking area. Some of the passing there has been excellent. Some of the movement's been excellent. As I say, Silva, Foden have been really excellent. Alvarez has been good. Doku's been the one for me that has just let the attacking side down of City. He's been a little bit. His decision making's been a little bit off. His dribbling's been a little bit off. His decision went across has been a little bit off. It's not that he's a bad player. He's just having an off night, if you like. And,
anyone can have an off night, can't they?
Of course they can.
And we know, we know that Isak and Gordon are good finishers. We know given opportunities like that, they can convert them. We're not putting any blame on Stefan Ortega, are we? But Ederson is clearly a big loss.
Well, we talk about you can't blame Ortega for either of these goals. However, there's a different presence when Ederson plays. Ederson's a little bit taller, so actually he might have stepped off his line a little bit more there. Ortega's a bit smaller, so he steps a bit closer to his line, which means the angle to the far post is opened up a little bit more because of the smaller goalkeeper. So it does have there is a lot of technical detail in where the goalkeepers stand because of the height that they are.
That's been levelled before, funnily enough, Nigel Glegon, at Stefan Ortega, that he's sometimes off his line a little bit too much. There was a goal conceded at Southampton a couple, maybe last season, a couple of seasons ago, where it's very similar, that he does, although Ederson likes to stray when City are in possession, he has, in the last 18 months, I would say, Ederson become actually a little bit more well-known for his big saves in big games, Champions League final being the ultimate one of those. But Stefan Ortega, if you are going to criticise him, as much as he's like Ederson with his feet and can do that quick play that City like, that actually, I have seen it before, criticism, he's too far off his line.
I think he's probably over-adjusted. He's got a little bit too close to his near post, and I think this time he's over-adjusted and been a little bit too far on his line. If he'd been a yard off and a little bit further away from his near post, he might have been able to dive out to save that with his left hand. However, when you're playing at this level, your second goalkeeper has got to be it can't be as good as your first, because that just doesn't happen, but he's got to be competent. And I'm not sure whether the bits I've seen of Stefan Ortega, I'm not sure whether he's Manchester City level number 2 goalkeeper. But that's just my opinion.
And City haven't got a game for a couple of weeks after tonight, so hopefully Ederson won't be out for too long. But if he was, I'm sure Pep Guardiola will be as angry as you were, Nigel, with the way he ended up getting injured, because it looked like a clear offside, and yet the play obviously has to be allowed to carry on, and the keeper ends up getting an injury. Yeah,
it's had a bearing on the game, there's no doubt, Bill. Even though Manchester City have controlled the game for the vast majority of that half, it still had a bearing on the game, because it was offside, it wasn't even close, and the goalkeeper gets injured having to make a save he shouldn't have to make. That's the laws of the game, where the linesmen have to, or lines people have to stick to. I just think it's bizarre and it's really silly. Blatant, just give it.
In terms of Bruno Guimaraes, right at the end of the first half there, could have picked up a second yellow. Then Rodri was booked for taking him out, and Rodri was fuming, wasn't he? He was still remonstrating with the officials on the way off at half time. He was clearly very frustrated, but it's got a bit of needle, hasn't it, this game, Nigel? It feels like it could bubble over, and we could easily see someone shown a red before it finishes.
Yeah, I think so. I don't really want it to become a fight, because that'll get this lot, the Newcastle fans, right behind their team if it becomes a fight, and that's what Newcastle want. They want to break City's rhythm by making it become a fight. They've sat in a deep block. Guimaraes got booked early on, and I just felt the tackle by him was a little bit late. I'm not saying it was malicious or anything like that, but he did catch him, and in today's game they're bookings. So what's happened, the ref hasn't give that booking, which would have been a yellow, second yellow on a red, and then what's happened, Kyle Walker's smacked Gordon here with his body, really shoulder charged him, put him into touch, and then as it's come back in, because the referee hasn't dealt with the foul with Guimaraes, well, he's taken retribution himself, Rodri, and really hit him with a tackle which deserved a booking, but that shouldn't have happened if the ref had got it sorted in the first place. I felt it was a foul.
A couple of your texts and tweets that have come into us as well. Remember, you can get in touch anytime you like at BBC RM Sport on social media. Billy says Bernardo Silva could easily be mistaken as a magician, and Mo says Silva the best player in the Premier League and has been for a few years now. I mean, he took his goal brilliantly, didn't he?
It's not just his goal, Bill. He took his goal like as good as anybody can ever take a goal like that. He was just calm. He knew what he was doing. It was on his right foot. It was behind him, and then he just presented the surface. He didn't really flick too hard because he knew that he didn't have to. And he just guided it from behind him into the bottom corner with the inside of his right foot. It was excellent, but it's not just that, it's his all-round play. When you talk about being the best player for the last few years, the first season he came into this league, I don't know how he didn't win Premier League Player of the Year. I remember that season. He was absolutely sublime in everything he did, in possession and out of possession, and that hasn't changed. He's just an excellent footballer.
Opposite end of the spectrum, Andrew says Kyle Walker needs to go. He's our captain, but off-field issues clearly distracting him on the pitch. We don't need that this season. Has he had a tough first half?
I think it's sometimes it's a little bit easy to point out what's happening off the field, but obviously that is going to have a bearing on form, because family is everything really. But he hasn't had. It's a strange one because he hasn't had that bad a first half. The 2 goals have come from his channel, but when you look at them, he's done some good defending, and then the last bit has let him down. He's got himself back in. City are very vulnerable with a ball that's played early in behind them, and that's Newcastle have been offside a few times, but the 2 goals have come from balls played down the side or in behind, and that's been a feature. If you watch Manchester City play through the season, they don't get played past or through very much, but they do often get played over the top or down the sides for runners in behind the back four. And Kyle Walker really is the only one who has real pace unless Akanji's playing. So that's where City are vulnerable, and that's what Newcastle have exploited so far.
City in front through Bernardo Silva. Newcastle hitting back. Isak and Gordon with the goals. They lead 2-1 at half-time. If it stays like that, Nigel, just looking down that Manchester City bench, obviously Jack Grealish is on there, Kevin De Bruyne too. How long before we see the Belgian make an appearance if City need him?
Yeah, I think Kevin De Bruyne might make a difference for 30 minutes, but I wouldn't give him much more than that in this game. It's been hectic, it's been frantic at times. Looking down the list, Jack Grealish might give you something. He might give you a little bit more control than we've had from Doku. But Doku's one of those players, he's a winger, and sometimes they have bad times, but then they produce that bit of magic, and Doku can do that. So he's not played brilliant in the first half in an attacking sense, but he might give you that minute, that or that bit of magic that gets you a goal. So I wouldn't take Doku off until about the last 25 minutes or so, and then maybe bring De Bruyne or Grealish on, because Grealish gives you a bit more control. But there's plenty to go at here, and I still believe that Manchester City will go on and win this game, because in that changing room now they'll be calming down a little bit. They got caught up in what Newcastle want, a little bit more of a hectic, frantic game, in not as controlled as City are used to, and it suits Newcastle, it doesn't suit City.
Yeah, City needs to wrestle back control second half, play their normal game, but they're going to have to watch out for that Newcastle counter now. With Newcastle with something to defend, they will surely try and hit on the break in the second 45 minutes. City fans, give us your thoughts at BBC RM Sport. Do you think the Blues will go on and win this game tonight? And would you bring on Jack Grealish or Kevin De Bruyne perhaps now, or would you wait a little bit longer? Let us know your thoughts on social media on BBC Radio Manchester.
Anna Jameson at breakfast.
BBC Radio Manchester. 70 years since the very first weather forecast was broadcast, I remember that infamous forecast from Michael Fish when he's like, it's absolutely not going to rain.
One of my favourite weather forecasters was Ian McCaskill. You can tell how famous he became because he was a puppet on Spitting Image. Hello, and the weather today is going to be wrong. It's going to be particularly wrong here in the east, with heavy patches of wrongness coming in from the west.
Anna Jameson at breakfast.
Weekdays from 6.
BBC Radio Manchester. Total Sport.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Half-time at St James's Park. It's Newcastle leading Manchester City by 2-1. The Blues were in front. Newcastle hit back, though, to lead at the break. Full second-half commentary on the way. You're listening to Total Sport with me, Bill Rice. Now, Bolton's League One fixture against Cheltenham this afternoon was abandoned after 29 minutes following a medical emergency in the crowd. A statement from the club since has confirmed a supporter in the East Stand suffered a suspected cardiac arrest around 30 minutes into that game at the Tough Sheet Stadium. The man was treated by medical staff and paramedics at the scene. The two teams were taken off the pitch and headed back down the tunnel. The statement from the club goes on to say, following sustained attempts to revive the patient, he was taken to the first aid room at the stadium and the match was abandoned shortly after 4 o'clock. The supporter was subsequently taken to hospital. It goes on to say the thoughts of everyone at Bolton Wanderers are with him and his family and all those impacted by this distressing incident. There is no update as yet on the supporter's condition, but we await news and we'll bring it to you as and when we get it. In terms of the fixture itself, details regarding a new date and refunds of tickets or arrangements for the fixture will be confirmed in due course. The EFL also confirmed in a statement that the abandonment would now be there would be an arrangement of the fixture made in due course after consultation with both of the clubs. And again, their thoughts go out to all impacted by the distressing incident and obviously the supporter concerned. We wish them well, and for anyone who was at the Tough Sheet Stadium this afternoon, it was a fairly distressing thing to see. So we hope for good news and we will bring you whatever news we get when we do. Now, Wigan Athletic, they had to settle for a point. They drew 1-1 away at Northampton Town today. The Latics boss Sean Maloney says his side may have deserved more.
I'm really pleased with the performance. I think the point is, I think when you go 1-0 down, you're pleased enough, but actually I was really happy with performance. The performance I think probably merited more, but yeah, you come away from home 1-0 down, maybe we have to take the point, but the performance was really good. For me, that was even better than Barnsley. Barnsley was very different in that first half, very counter-attack, but today was for me as good as we've played in a long time with the ball. I know at home against Carlisle, but Northampton are a really formed team and they try and play, so for us to play like that is it keeps talking about the DNA of the club. We definitely took a step in that direction today, and I believe if we keep playing like that, then the more times I'm standing here, the more times I'll hopefully be talking about 3 points.
And away from home, it has been a struggle of late, in particular the two results around Christmas, Port Vale and Reading. So to now have 2 points on the road, do you feel like you're turning a corner in that respect as well?
Probably I'd go further back, so even if you go to Stevenage, Burton, that sort of that was the moment where I felt there was we had to change certain things when we go away from home. The actual Reading performance I actually really liked defensively. Port Vale the opposite. Port Vale first half was a really bad half for us. I just liked you've seen two very different ways how we try and play. So Barnsley, a fantastic pressing team, we have to go over that press. But today I really thought, and I like Northampton, what they do is really good. They try and play, create loads of players in the middle. I wanted to go toe to toe, and I have to respect my players. They really went for it, and it's hard when you go 1-0 down to trust it, but they really did. So yeah, it's good.
Josh McGuinness getting the equaliser. We spoke before about how he's had to be patient this season. He's had a different role to play. He has shown to you in the Carlisle game and this, though, that he's still got something to offer in the league at Wigan. Yeah, and Barnsley. I thought he was brilliant in that first 60 minutes at Barnsley. Had some big opportunities. Strikers take them and they don't. That's their job. It's been a season where at the start Charlie White was in incredible form. Humphreys came in at that sort of false nine.
did exactly the same, and now Josh is sort of really coming to the fore, and Humphreys can play wide, so we'll see more of him in the coming games. But yeah, I was pleased with Josh.
Wigan Athletic 18th in the League One table, 5 points above the drop zone. Bolton have slipped a place to third, but they're still only 2 points behind Portsmouth, who were beaten at home by Leyton Orient despite Bolton's game being abandoned. Right, back to St James's Park, where Manchester City trail at the break. It's Newcastle 2, City 1. Your commentary team, Nigel Gleghorn and Mike Minot.
Thanks, Bill. No changes at half-time by either manager. Changing the scoreline needed by Manchester City as we get underway for the second half then. I'll run you through the two teams when we get an opportunity to do so. Newcastle United are left to right now in the second half, attacking the Gallagher end to our right-hand side. Black and white vertical striped shirts with the red numbers. Black shorts and white socks, the colours synonymous with this part of the country, in this city in the northeast of England. For Manchester City, sky blue shirts, white shorts and sky blue socks are now right to left. They're in possession with Nathan Ake to Ruben Diaz. Kyle Walker down the right hand side asking Alvarez to get in front of Botman, which he couldn't do, and now Lewis Miley will step forward to the halfway line. Rodri with the challenge. Isak can't return it back to Lewis Miley, so Rodri to Foden. Now Jeremy Doku, and here's Joško Vardiol. Doku's moved down the left-hand channel, not used by Vardiol. Here is Rodri and Bernardo Silva in Manchester City. 40 points in their 19 games. And that's how it's standing after 20 with this result at the moment. They're a point short of their lowest total after 19 games than in any of their title-winning seasons under Pep Guardiola, as they're going for 4 in a row. No side has ever managed that before. Manchester City treble winners in possession at the moment with Bernardo Silva, their goal scorer. Sends it forward, headed up off Lewis Miley. Fans just filtering back after their half-time refreshments. Rodri clips it over the top. Alvarez tries to bring it down, does well actually. Then Rodri with a little bit of pace in the ball, gives it to the left-hand side for Vardiol. Here is Alvarez on the edge of the D to get the ball from the Croatian. Doku, heavy touch from the left-hand side. And despite appeals of handball against Miguel Almiron, referee Chris Kavanagh shakes his head. Here is Rodri. Out towards Bernardo Silva, right-hand side, it's Kyle Walker. Nigel Gleghorn.
There's the bits. Doku in a lovely position there, and that's been the story of his night. A little bit of a heavy touch, gets it took off him, and he needs to really brush up there.
Rodri sent it over the top, looking for Kyle Walker on the right of the penalty area. Byrne headed it up and behind. So, corner kick, far side to Manchester City at the start of this second half. 2.5 minutes played. Alvarez to take. Has Bernardo in short supply if they want to go down that route. Rodri, Diaz and Ake all in the penalty area, but it is a short corner. Alvarez to Bernardo and to Foden. Alvarez, and it's back to the halfway line. That corner breaks down for Manchester City. Players start to jog their way back towards the halfway line, including Rodri and Ruben Diaz. Nathan Ake stayed up for a little bit longer, but he's now back on the halfway line himself. Newcastle leading 2-1. Ball out towards the left-hand touchline, the near side for Manchester City with Jeremy Doku. And Kovacic, who has a look behind him where Nathan Ake stood on the halfway line, but then switches it out towards this near side again. Vardiol ahead of Doku. He just runs straight into Kieran Trippier and brings a sigh of the drop of the shoulders from Nigel Gleghorn. He's come to expect that in this game.
Yeah, it's not been one of his better nights, I have to say, Mike. I've seen him play much better than this. He's running into people. He's not even moving the ball offline to get past somebody. He's going straight into them.
Walker on the right. Bernardo. Rodri 30 yards from goal. Now Kovacic facing out towards that far side as Rodri finds a gap to slide the ball into Walker. He wants to return it to Phil Foden. He'll go up and behind, and another Manchester City corner on that far side. So quickly, if we've got time, the two teams. Dubravka in goal for Newcastle. Trippier, Cher, Botman and Byrne the back four. Longstaff, Guimaraes and Miley in midfield with Almiron, Isak and Gordon up front. That's how Eddie Howe has selected his Newcastle team this evening. I'll go through the City team in a moment. For now, corner to City with Alvarez, out swinging delivery, right footed, bounces in the penalty area, and Byrne gets under it, sends it away up towards the edge of the centre circle. Kyle Walker, now Bernardo Silva. Here's Alvarez from that corner to whip another ball into the box, and Byrne once again equal to it. The Newcastle defence standing resilient at the moment. Here's Doku in towards the left corner of the penalty area. 2 Newcastle shirts around him in Miley and Trippier. Now Rodri, central position. We'll move back out to the left-hand side. Vardiol to Kovacic, who wanted to play it low straight into Jeremy Doku, but it runs past him, and Trippier can chip it down this near side. It's an easy pick out for Joško Vardiol. Rodri uses Phil Foden. Lovely little drag behind to get the ball towards the byline on the left-hand side. Now Doku again. Kovacic has space. Can he find the gap to shoot? He tries a bending effort, just like Isak and Gordon did in the first half. But it's blocked and up towards the halfway line.
City total control again. This is what we saw in the first 35 minutes, and then all hell breaks loose. City just playing excellent football. There's Doku again. That little bit of detail. Just looking at when Doku gets the ball out here on the left.
Rodri's nicked the ball, goes forward, pushed in the back. Has to be a free kick. It is. Will it be a yellow card? As Rodri looked to advance towards the penalty area.
It should be a yellow card.
Pep Guardiola's asking Tim Robinson, the 4th official, for his opinion on that.
Strange enough, I would be asking that as well. he was through, he's aware, and he's brought him down. It's a cynical foul. That's a booking, without any shadow of a doubt.
One of the medical staff of Pep Guardiola's backroom team is also up, and Pep Guardiola pushing away, so don't worry, I'm handling this one. Free kick to City then, right as centre, well within shooting range. Matthias Bob and Kevin De Bruyne are all warming up down towards our left-hand side along the touchline. Newcastle here have a dangerous free kick, but where Newcastle have a huge advantage is literally a huge advantage. They are 4 heighty players in that box.
Yeah, I think the minimum, the littlest one's about 6'2". But I'm just watching Pep down here. He must be saying, so he's gone past him, he can't get the ball, and he's cynically tripped him up as we attack the edge of the box. Why is that not a booking? I have to say, I'd like to be in the 4th official's shoes just to find out what he's saying. What he can say to that.
Well, Bernardo Alvarez then for this free kick, but a 4-man wall of Botman, Byrne, Cher and Isak is the thing that they have to negotiate first. It will be Alvarez, right-footed. Oh, it's great. And Dubravka has to parry away. He punches it out towards the corner flag on the far side. On target from Alvarez. Dubravka equal to it, the Slovakian goalkeeper of Newcastle United, diving to his left-hand side. City in possession now with Alvarez, but he's going to have to look back perhaps to the halfway line. Squares it to Rodri, who slides it too powerfully on through for Foden. And behind for a goal kick. The City team then, Ortega in goal after Edison was replaced early on in the first half, picking up an injury. Walker, Diaz, Ake and Vardiol the back 4. Rodri and Kovacic in midfield. Foden, Bernardo and Doku just behind Julian Alvarez.
Here we go, Mike. This is what Newcastle are dead good at. They'll take 2 minutes over every goal kick now. A couple of years ago, I watched them at Elland Road with Leeds United, and they did exactly the same. They took 30 minutes out of the game.
The referees are encouraged to add it on where they can. Isak's offside, yeah, and now the flag goes up instantly on this near side, looking across the line, and we could see that from our great vantage position here, just behind the dugouts at St James's Park. The jet black skies, the floodlights on, a crisp chill in the air now as we head towards 7 o'clock. We're with you till 8 o'clock tonight on Total Sport here on BBC Radio Manchester. Still 37 exciting minutes at least of this game. Can match the intensity of the first half. Will be worn out after 90 minutes. Ortega long. Doku has to race for the ball. I think he kind of got there first, but the ball spins away towards this near side where Vardiol loses out. Almiron ignores Trippier for now. Guimaraes has found the England defender. Guimaraes to the right hand side, pulls it across, looking for a Bernardo Silva style back flick themselves. Newcastle in the penalty area. It didn't come off. They've won a throw in there midway inside the City half near side.
Yeah, Newcastle now are just trying to get tight to Manchester City, a little bit higher up the pitch, not dropping off as they were early on.
99 Premier League goals against Newcastle for Manchester City. Goal number 100 would be much craved.
It will happen today.
Nigel Glegon remains confident in that for now. The ball is at the other end And Newcastle United have won a throw-in, level with the penalty area out on that far side. Their left, Anthony Gordon just throws it down the line for Dan Burn to take. Still Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1, by the way, in the Championship's evening kick-off. As Gordon tries to get to the edge of the penalty area, never really had full control of the ball. And Bernardo Silva a little bit sloppy, taking his time, deciding what the next pass is. Need Walker to bail him out by clearing it long. It's a foul, is it? Yeah, foul on Fabian Schär.
Can't book him.
Free kick, midway inside the Manchester City half.
Can't book him, even though he should. Oh, he has. Well, there you go. That's the inconsistencies of refereeing. And I know Chris, and I know him pretty well, but that's the inconsistencies. How, I think it was Botman wasn't booked. That means he's got another tackle in him now, whereas Bernardo hasn't. There was a booking, he was through, he's brought him down. No different to the one we've just seen up there. All players ask for, Mike, is consistency, always.
Guimaraes and Rodri already booked for both sides in this game.
And Guimaraes could have gone off.
Guimaraes, yeah, maybe fortunate still to be on the pitch. We've played nearly 11 second half minutes. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. Trippier over this free kick, has his arm on. Trippier, right-footed, curls it in. Ake with a header away that actually guides more towards Ortega, who does gather in his 6-yard box, bowls it underarm instantly, and Manchester City are off here with Bernardo Silva. Played it between the legs of Doku, really, and Trippier on the recovery is able to get that back to his goalkeeper, Martin Dubravka, who sends it long, and it's goalkeeper to goalkeeper. Ortega, all in purple this evening. Sends it out towards the right-hand side. Ruben Diaz, and once more over to the touchline for Kyle Walker. Newcastle leading here. They've won just one of their last 32 Premier League games against Manchester City, losing 26 of those. That win, a 2-1 win here at St James's Park in 2019. Matt Ritchie got the winning goal that day from the penalty spot. 10 minutes from time. City, who have scored in the last 31 against Newcastle since a goalless draw in 2006, have one here, but they need two. They trail. Walker on the right-hand side. Might come now. Bernardo Silva, 25 yards from goal. Left-footed. Chips it up. Vardiol will challenge for the header with Trippier. Vardiol has the height advantage, but Trippier won the ball. Here's Kovacic. Doku just away from the left corner of the box. City right to left in this second half. Rodri can spin, then dinks it out towards the far side. Walker nudges it backwards a little bit to Bernardo Silva. Rolls back to Rodri, central position. Kovacic alongside him. Through to Foden. Flicks on first time to Alvarez. Back to Foden. Low shot. Too central on the effort. And Dubravka can make the save.
Good football there from City though. Kept it nicely and neat round that edge of the box. Sharp 1 and 2 touch football until they opened up and got themselves a shot. Foden just needs to put that a little bit more in the corner, but better football.
Newcastle hurry it along with Lewis Miley. City intercept just outside the centre circle. Here is Kovacic to Joško Vardiol. Kovacic again. Now Rodri. Newcastle set firm on the edge of their penalty area. Rodri can't find Foden and then tries to knock it out to the right-hand side. Bernardo sets off down the chase, back down the touchline to keep that in play. He's done well there, actually, Bernardo Silva. Rodri's effort did not go to plan, or the vision he had in his head. Now Walker tries to switch the play from the right-hand side to the near side left. Trippier's header beats Vardiol, who was waiting patiently for the ball again. Miley, Almiron loses out. Here's Doku. Rodri. City with the possession, not the penetration yet in the Newcastle penalty area. Now it might come with Doku towards the byline, just forced away from the box. Wins the corner though. Good work from the Belgian. Near side effort for City.
Yeah, he held it in the box there really well, and waiting for Trippier to come and get a little bit of a toe on the ball, corner ball. Changes for me: Kovacic for De Bruyne, and then Grealish for Doku.
Still no sign of Jack Grealish warming up. It's Oscar Bob and Matthias alongside Kevin De Bruyne at the moment on this near side. 3 Newcastle substitutes also warming up. Here is Bernardo Silva to Kyle Walker, who has space, squares it. Foden chooses not to Get it into the box, he'll take the shot on himself. Instead to Walker, now out to the right again for Rodri. Little fancy footwork from him on the right corner. Here's Alvarez, square pass. Space opens up for Bernardo Silva. Looks like he was going to shoot. Drags it back instead, flicks it out to the right-hand side. Rodri once more, infield, gets it in, sends the cross in. That deflects up, and it's another corner to Manchester City.
Well, Manchester City get plenty of practice at this when they pin somebody into their own 18-yard and keep moving that ball around. I'm sure this is practices that they do every day. City just now need that little bit of a penetrative pass and a finish to get back on level terms and go on and win the game.
An hour gone. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1. Here is Phil Foden on the corner. Penalty, takes the shot on. And the Newcastle fans with their sarcastic cheers will say that was dragged high over the bar. Disappointing from Phil Foden, a man who's found 4 goals in his last 4 games, but not on this occasion. Newcastle 2, City 1.
Yeah, just leaning back. As the ball, he's leaning back there and he's lifted over the top. But if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the prize. He's had a shot, and sometimes City can be guilty of trying to walk the ball in.
Manchester City's first Premier League fixture of the new year. They've not lost in their first game of a calendar year for 11 years, and that also came in the northeast when they battered and bombarded Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, and G went and won it in added time 1-0. And they're losing here this evening on Tyneside by 2-1. Eddie Howe, is he changing things up? Is he going to a 3 at the back, giving the indication that he's just nudged towards Kieran Trippier?
Eddie Howe, a man under pressure probably, even though I don't think he should be, but he will be.
Yeah, 8th in the Premier League before tonight. Struggling for form, Newcastle. The win, as it stands, will send them up to 7th, a point ahead of Brighton. Leapfrog Chelsea as well, who won earlier today. Nudges Manchester United down to 10th. United play Spurs at Old Trafford tomorrow. That's a big game. Manchester City's next game is Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the 4th round of the FA Cup, a Friday night game for you on BBC Radio Manchester. Throw into Newcastle here in this Premier League match. Never with the 18-yard box. Kieran Trippier to take it, but throws it back down the line towards the halfway point. Share. Guimaraes caught in possession. Now City, maybe with Newcastle. A little stretch at the back can create something. Alvarez storming forward. Has support over to the right. That's Kyle Walker getting towards the byline. Angles tight for Walker, who pulls it across. The finish has to be there. No, it's not. And the referee gives Newcastle a free kick in amongst the melee in the penalty area. I think Rodri and Bruno have collided. As City went off on the counter, Alvarez found Walker, who put it into the 6-yard box. Newcastle did have men back. Rodri tried to get in there first. They couldn't find a route through. And Newcastle at the end of it all have a free kick. Well, there was 1 or 2 players that could have got in there. Walker with a perfect pullback. It was behind Phil Foden. And then Guimaraes pokes it away past Rodri. And Rodri clatters into Guimaraes. Nigel Gleghorn.
What a run from Walker there on that counter. He's actually ran. He's given Bernardo about a 15-yarder and beaten by 20. Put the ball in. It's just behind Phil Foden for a finish. But that's more like it.
Oh, Bernardo Silva just laid it in on the right-hand side, but Foden couldn't get there quick enough, and Dubravka gathers and keeps that Newcastle 2-1 lead. Kevin De Bruyne is pulling his socks up. It won't be long till we see the Belgian.
Well, the one thing about Kevin De Bruyne, he plays at a pace and drags everybody with him. Not that City have played badly tonight, I have to say. I think they've been in control of large proportion of this game. However, they've been done with a couple of balls over the top, basically, or down the side of them.
Newcastle in possession with Kieran Trippier on their right-hand side, the near. Poor pass, though. Newcastle getting a little sloppy, and City will need to capitalise. Doku into the penalty area. That's Alvarez, blasted at Dubravka, who makes the save, parries it away. And it's up towards the halfway line. That was a big chance for Julian Alvarez.
He should have guided in. Instead of hitting it, he should have guided, just like the 2 Newcastle players have done. He's tried to go with power. Nice height for the keeper, straight at him. Put it in the corners.
Yeah, sent it straight down the middle, didn't he? And so Rico Lewis, Jack Grealish and Calvin Phillips go for a warm-up now. Bernardo from the right, lofted ball out towards the left, and Jamie Doku can't squeeze it through to Joško Vardiol. Ball bounces back to Doku though, who puts that one into the 6-yard box. It bounces away though off a Newcastle player, and out for a throw-in on this near side. Vardiol wants to take it quickly, hasn't really got that level of support. Kevin De Bruyne prepared to come on here, having a last-minute chat with Pep Guardiola. His strawberry blonde hair longer in length now than it was back in August when he played his last Premier League game for Manchester City. Sweat back, almost Grealish style. Sweat from the front right to the back of his head. He needs to sweep Manchester City into the game here. They trail 2-1. Here is Doku in from the left, tries the shot, bounces away, corner kick.
He's frustrated me so much tonight. He's allowed the defender to get far too close to him, and that's not too bad if you then move it. Then he's kicked it straight at him and it's gone out for a corner. He can win you a game, but at the moment he's not going to do it.
Short corner by Manchester City. Alvarez to Kovacic, gets it back to Alvarez. Now Bernardo Silva, who's 30 yards from goal and hasn't got a clear sight into the box, so uses Kyle Walker in a even more central position. Now Bernardo, left-footed, sweeps it up, looking for the head of Rodri or even Ake. Neither got a touch. And Cher can clear it to the halfway line. Diaz wins it back. Once again, for Manchester City, who trailed 2-1, we have played 65 minutes. We've already lost 20 minutes of the second half. Barely time to check the stopwatch. There's Vardiol. Bernardo Silva in from the left. Now Kovacic. Kevin De Bruyne stood with his hands on his hips. He can only watch on for now as Foden gets in left-hand side. Once more over to Doku with the step-overs, trying to squeeze it through an impossible gap. And the ball deflects into a diving Dubravka, who clutches it close to his chest.
End product again from Doku. He's hit it straight at one of the Newcastle defenders, stood right in front of him. Didn't even move the ball to try and do anything with it.
Gordon coming forward. And it's into the penalty area. Ortega makes the save before Isak got there. From the left-hand side, it was Dan Burn getting forward. And now Kovacic is challenged by Gordon, and play goes on. Almiron down the right-hand side. Here's Guimaraes with a curling effort that deflects. And well wide of the goal in the end, and Ortega can gather on the byline. Just got to be so careful in this game.
First time in a while we've looked that side, looked to our right, and that was a counter-attack from Newcastle this time.
Still De Bruyne waits on the touchline. Here's Bernardo Silva, right corner of the penalty. Alvarez has a narrow angle to shoot from. We'll let the ball run closer to the byline. Lays it back to Rodri. Here is Kovacic, who goes for it, deflects. And Dubravka reacts quickly, diving down to his left-hand side and makes the save.
Just took the pace off it there. A shot from Kovacic just took the pace off of that deflection. But this is more like a game of football. Newcastle are having a go, and City need them to, because they need a gap to break through.
This is a Newcastle side that have lost 9 games this season. This point last year they'd only lost 1. So they're not as good as they used to be, perhaps, as Rodri's caught on the edge of the box, right on the edge of the box as well, to the right of the D. Free kick Manchester City. And an opportunity here from close range to get a goal from a set piece.
That was stupid from Longstaff. Rodri was looking for it. If he hadn't put his hands up, Rodri would have fallen over anywhere. He looked for it, he gave him it, and now in with a chance. Alvarez from here, or a roll for Foden to hit with his left foot.
Or maybe Kevin De Bruyne,
maybe, yeah, that would be something else, wouldn't it? Here he is.
Well, whoever would take the free kick, it won't be Bernardo Silva, the man who got the goal here for Manchester City to give them a 1-0 lead. Newcastle have subsequently turned it around, but Bernardo Silva is off, and Kevin De Bruyne is going to come on for Manchester City now. Is he heading straight over for the ball is the question.
Looks like he is.
He jogs up, has a quick word with Kyle Walker.
So there's a tactical change. He's come on to tell Kyle Walker what he has to do. I'm not sure whether Bernardo Silva would be one I would take off. However, if De Bruyne sticks his in the top corner, then who am I to say that?
Well, De Bruyne has already had a look at this ball, and he's taken 4 strides away from it. I tell you what.
Look at the size of the wall again.
Yeah, it's another big Newcastle wall.
Wow.
Almiron's playing draft excluder, I think, just behind it. So, big wall here for Kevin De Bruyne, who's the only one over this free kick. It would be some story Kevin De Bruyne's first Premier League game since August then, and his first action is to take a free kick. It's De Bruyne into the wall. And where's it going to rebound to? Here is Alvarez, slides it out to the left-hand side. Doku, right-footed, bends it back post. Diaz with the knockdown, tried to book to Rodri, and then the follow-up. Got to score. Julian Alvarez from 8 yards sends it over the bar. Central position, on target, and that's in.
Dare we say, Mike, some old-fashioned football. Doku, a far post cross, headed back by Diaz into Alvarez, and then he's hit the shot over the bar. A little bit more, just a bit more time. 10 yards out, side foot, and he's put it over the bar. That's a great chance.
Perfect chance to get City level, which they've not taken. 20 minutes left in this game. Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 1. Newcastle have conceded 30 goals this season, including Bernardo's in this game. They only conceded 33 in the entire of last season. They do concede goals. Manchester City need to make sure they concede at least one more in this game if they're to get anything from it. At the moment, Newcastle lead 2-1 and are on course for 3 points, 3 valuable points from their point of view. The home record is good. Here's Walker. Lovely little touch from Kyle Walker. Now Kevin De Bruyne. Oh, he left the ball behind. And he's got it back though. And here is Rodri on the edge of the centre circle. Bends it out to the right-hand side. Foden with De Bruyne on the overlap. Low ball in. Alvarez, snap shot. It might come back to Phil Foden, who lifts it up over the goalkeeper, over the bar. In fact, not over the bar, well wide. It's gone for a throw-in.
Got to do better there. I think Alvarez just got to lift that. Another chance. A block from Newcastle. Great ball in from De Bruyne. Oh, he's got to lift that into the top corner there instead of playing along the floor. And then I think Phil Foden's got to do better with that chance coming back second time round.
But more
it feels like it's coming.
Yeah, I was going to say, more importantly, Nigel, the chances are there. City definitely just have to take them.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's coming. There's a momentum with City going forward at the moment.
Here's Guardiola to get the ball ahead of Almiron. Puts it in field. There's space now for Rodri. Newcastle looking a little bit open here. Manchester City looking to find a way through. Guardiola frustrated as the ball goes over to the right-hand side. Kyle Walker. Foden lays it back to Rodri. Takes a steadying touch, then clips it deep to this near side of the penalty area. The left as we look at it, but it's over everybody. Oh, is it taking a deflection? Goal kick. Huge appeals. Rodri bouncing almost.
He's going to get sent off if he's not careful.
He believes there's a real touch on that from the lofted ball that Rodri played. It did look at perhaps an unusually...
It did look... I was going to say, you don't see that very often from Rodri.
We'll get a replay here. Does it?
His shoulder, I think.
Sven Botman. But this might be a better angle for us to look from on our TV monitors. Does it come off the hand?
Still hard to tell from there. So
yeah, no major deflection. No. I think didn't change the direction of the ball ultimately. Free kick to City on the halfway line as they were coming down the right. And it's going to be a free kick to City, 10 yards inside the Newcastle half. City trailing this one 2-1. Glance every now and then at the clock.
Pep's gone mad at the fourth official here. City won the break there. If he hadn't gone for the free kick for the foul, they were through.
De Bruyne has space, charging towards the penalty area. De Bruyne! Welcome back to the Premier League. Welcome back to Manchester City. Like he's never been away. Kevin De Bruyne gets Manchester City level. Huge fist pumps from Pep Guardiola. And Kevin De Bruyne, who's been on the pitch all but 5 minutes, gets City level. Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 2.
What a finish. He's just picked the ball up in the number 10 position, in between the lines. He's strode in through the front door. Newcastle have not done anything to stop him. And then the finish, Mike, he's side-footed through the defender's legs from 20 yards into the bottom corner. That's a typical Kevin De Bruyne goal.
And he's passed it. He's passed it into the back of the net, really, hasn't he?
Oh, it's class.
Past the outstretched Dubravka, City level, and have 16 minutes of this second half at least to try and get a winner. Vardiol's got to be careful. Now Ortega has two. As Almiron closes in on the pair in the penalty area. City have worked that away. Out for a throw-in fine. but much better than the dangerous position they were in a moment ago. De Bruyne levels it up then, 2-2.
Felt it was coming. We were saying that the momentum was with City. Often that's when City are at the most vulnerable, when they have so much possession going forward. But this time, no mistake. De Bruyne, the substitutions worked perfectly. He stepped on and showed that little bit of calmness, that little bit of class. Side foot the ball in, didn't try and smash it, he just put it in the corner.
Ball over the top, Ake caught. Here's Isak, just pulls away from the right of the penalty area on the near side. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. It's into the box, Longstaff lays it off for Guimaraes, who goes down. They want a penalty that doesn't come, and City are on the charge here with Phil Foden to the right of the centre circle. Alvarez pulls over towards the far side of the field. Newcastle now have the players back. De Bruyne plays a 1-2 with the Argentine. The World Cup winner, the Club World Cup winner in Julian Alvarez, who's missed a couple of big opportunities in this second half to get them level before De Bruyne came on. Here is Kovacic, Rodri. 2-2 the score at St James's Park. It has been a thrilling game on BBC Radio Manchester's Total Sport. Earlier today we brought you Northampton 1, Wigan 1, with reports also of Salford's first win under Carl Robinson. They won 1-0 at Crawley. Stockport stay top of League 2 with a 3-1 win at home to Walsall. Bolton's game at Cheltenham abandoned due to a medical emergency in the crowd. The update has been that fan has been taken to hospital after suffering a suspected cardiac arrest. We wish them well. We'll provide you with updates when we get them on BBC Radio Manchester. 2-2 here at St James's Park. Newcastle coming from behind to lead, but Kevin De Bruyne on 5 minutes into his restart of Premier League life this season, and now he swipes a low ball into the box that goes past a couple in a blue shirt, including Joško Vardiol, who was close to it on the penalty spot. Miley has to see that away.
Newcastle look like they're out on the feet at the moment, Mike. There's not much spark in them at the moment.
Rodri, well, they've been passed to death at times by Manchester City, haven't they?
Well, the thing is, when you see them break and then the front three trying to get back, Guimaraes there and Gordon, who are normally pretty good at getting back, they were struggling.
2-2. Walker on the ball. The voice of Nigel Glegon, the former Manchester City midfielder, on BBC Radio Manchester. De Bruyne is in on the right hand side again, sends the cross in. It's up by Newcastle, not away. Now it will be away. Miley hooks it over his shoulder, sees it up towards the edge of the centre circle. Diaz on the recovery for Manchester City. Ipswich in front, by the way. They lead Sunderland 2-1 now at Portman Road on a day where Leicester lost in the Championship. Here is Foden from distance. It's the heels of Cher, bounces away all the way to that far right hand side of Manchester City's. The left of Newcastle in this second half in their black and white stripes with the black shorts, City in sky blue.
This is very much like what we watched in the first half early on. Newcastle can't get out because everybody's back behind the ball.
De Bruyne, Foden on the right, De Bruyne on the corner of the penalty area. Now it's Rodri's turn. Here's Kovacic. De Bruyne let the ball run past him. Kyle Walker. Here's Walker again. And now Kevin De Bruyne plays it first time into the feet of Rodri. Was he onside? Flag stays down for now, but he can't do much with it. And Newcastle rotate the ball up towards the halfway line, but poorly. And Isak's all on his own up there.
Well, that's the problem for Newcastle. Nice problem for City to have, but that's the problem. It comes straight back because they can't get the ball out. It's 2v1, 3v1.
Phones into the box on the right-hand side. Nice little turn as well in the penalty area. Will twist and go up towards the byline. Lays it out to Kevin De Bruyne, who fires it in near post. Maybe hoping Dubravka would spill that, but he doesn't. He clutches onto it.
Got to take a chance across the near post there as a striker. It's not going to come anywhere else. Step across, see if we can get one near post.
Newcastle turn defence into attack here with Almiron. Isak, who's got his back to goal, will flick it to his left-hand side. Use Guimaraes. Now Anthony Gordon, just away from the left corner of the penalty. He's already scored one. And his shot, skimming along the turf without much power, takes a deflection. And he's behind for a corner on this near side. We have 11 minutes left here. 2-2.
Similar chance there. Stepped inside onto his right and tried to guide in the bottom corner and got a block this time. But Newcastle haven't been in this half very much in the whole 30 minutes we've had. City just need to make sure they go and finish this game off because they've been the better side.
Guardiola on his haunches down in his technical area, watching on. Everybody back in a sky blue shirt, and Manchester City is Trippier sends it in. De Bruyne tries to get a head on it. I'm not sure it's the most convincing head he'll ever get on it, but it's worked, it's cleared it. Back to the corner taker, Trippier, who moves it into his own half. Away to our left-hand side for Martin Dubravka, who was waiting and waiting for an option and can only send that long. Kovacic's header. Here is Foden, who's seen Dubravka off his line. Went for it. You never know in those situations. I mean, Dubravka had to chest it down initially as he was stumbling backwards. Oscar Bobb is going to get some minutes here for Manchester City in a moment as well.
If he'd fallen over there, the keeper, that would have gone in. It was worth a try. It was worth a punt. It was.
Miley. Almiron, right-hand side for Newcastle, the near. Vardiol just pointing behind him, making sure someone's tracking the run of Lewis Miley. Vardiol and Kovacic eventually gang up on Almiron, just force him back. Here's Guimaraes. Updates tomorrow regularly throughout the afternoon from Old Trafford, by the way. United against Spurs at Old Trafford. City don't play now for 13 days. Winter break incoming. And they take on Spurs at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Friday, the 26th of January. We'll have that covered for you on BBC Radio Manchester. Miley long over the top, no run there, and it will go straight on through to Ortega to our right hand side. 2-2 with Kovacic on the ball, 2 yards in from the touchline on this left hand side. Square pass to Rodri. It's the Geordies trying to find their voice, but Manchester City here are keeping them largely quiet. It's the voices of the City fans in the gods. Away to our left-hand side, you can hear mostly.
Have done most of the game, Mike. Yeah. Just a couple of bits that City have let themselves down with, really, the 2 goals.
And it came in the first half as Newcastle went 1-0 down, 2-1 up. It's now 2-2. Here is Foden in from the right. Rodri scoops it up, gives it to Doku, who's had trouble against Trippier all afternoon, has not really had the better of him. Now squares it, Rodri back through to Doku. Where's the ball running to? Alvarez is in there. Newcastle's defence tries to sort itself quickly, and the ball's out of play, and that will be Jeremy Doku's last piece of action this evening. He's going to be replaced on this near side, like for like, with Oscar Bobb.
The thing with Doku is, every time he gets the ball there, the detail that Eddie Howe has, Almiron comes and doubles up with Trippier, or Lewis Miley comes and doubles up. He makes sure that he has 2v1 there and makes him go back with the ball rather than forward, and it's worked. It's really cut off a supply route for Manchester City this afternoon or this evening.
Doku gets an embrace from his manager Pep Guardiola as he takes his seat on the bench. Oscar Bobb a little bit in field for now, as Vardiol is the man out on the far left hand side, just watching on because the ball is out on the right at the moment. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2, with 7.5 minutes left of the 90. Lewis Hall, next Chelsea youngster, is going to come on for Newcastle. Serial runner-up. Lewis Hall, he's an FA Cup runner-up. He's a League Cup runner-up, and he's an FA Youth Cup runner-up. Manchester City will hope he can come a runner-up in this Premier League fixture. They've got to score again, City, for that to happen. 2-2. Trippier by the corner flag, near side, deep in the Newcastle half. The Newcastle right back sends it long down the line. Diaz has won it back. As Miley battles with Vardiol and Bobb. Here's Kovacic. Uses Diaz in space. De Bruyne in the middle. Has a look. What can he find? Rodri's the answer. Left of the D. Rodri in the box. Shot comes in. Dubravka saves brilliantly. Gets down quickly. Rodri trying to poke it in the far right corner. And Dubravka down quickly to his left. Sees it behind for a corner kick.
Excellent save there. Rodri stepping into the edge of the box. Just inside. Two little step overs, middle of the goal, and he's hit the shot really early. That's what makes the save so good. But I still feel this is coming. Mike?
Dubravka, good reactions. Now corner to Manchester City with 6 minutes remaining. De Bruyne's outswinging delivery, headed away by the home side defence. Ball runs up towards the edge of the centre circle. Foden and Walker on the recovery, the 2 England internationals. Now Foden spots De Bruyne's hung around on the right hand side. De Bruyne's crosses deep. Trippier's head away. Will come to Bobb on the edge of the penalty area, who lays it off for Foden. Bobb gets it back out wide, more to De Bruyne. It's behind Ruben Diaz, And out for another corner to Manchester City.
Well, if this was a boxing match, it'd have been stopped. No doubt about that. But City in the ascendancy, as they have been all afternoon.
Corner, and De Bruyne sends it in again. The header is close towards the goal, and Dubravka has to punch that over his bar. It's another corner.
Another corner. Well, City need to make one of these count. They deserve the 3 points out of the game. The way they've played, they've controlled possession, they've controlled areas of the pitch, and just need that little bit of luck, a little bit of quality, as we've seen from Kevin De Bruyne earlier on.
De Bruyne's floated corner in is headed away by Dan Burn. It'll bounce in front of Kyle Walker, 30 yards from goal, who knocks it back to Phil Foden. And he uses Stefan Ortega, the Manchester City goalkeeper's on the edge of the centre circle. He switches it back out to the right-hand side, looking for Kevin De Bruyne. Headed out of play for Newcastle's Dan Burn for a Manchester City throw-in. Here comes the Newcastle sub, which is going to see Anthony Gordon replaced by Lewis Hall, the 19-year-old.
Well, Anthony Gordon's been treading water for a little while. He's worked really hard because he's had to. He hasn't had much possession. He likes possession, Anthony Gordon, but he's been starved by a Manchester City side who've been relentless, yet not ruthless enough.
Pep Guardiola's on the pitch here, issuing instructions to Mateo Kovacic and Joško Vardiol. Fourth official just has to drag him back a little bit. There's not as much as space as there is perhaps at the Etihad, and Pep Guardiola at times with his passion forgets that. He was on the pitch at Everton the other week as well, doing the same thing. Rodri from the right tries to switch it to the left, and Trippier just gets ahead of Joško Vardiol. Here's Almiron. Trippier back to his own penalty area for Cher. And Trippier over the top. Miley's on a run here. Flag will stay down and now goes up against Lewis Miley, who is delayed. Once he got his touch, flag goes up. I think the right decision, it was just late again.
It was, yeah. That's this law that they have, the rule.
Bob goes down, free kick. Just into the Newcastle half near side, City's left. There are 3.5 minutes left. And what did Pep Guardiola say to Mateo Kovacic? Maybe we'll find out in a minute. He's on the ball now into the centre circle. Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 2. The phone line's open for you to have your say. 0800 218 2255 is the number you need to have your say with Nigel Gleghorn and Bill Rice, the 8 o'clock. De Bruyne in from the right. Bob trying to nick it at the near post. Newcastle have seen that back out towards the far side. Powerful, pacey ball low along the ground from Kevin De Bruyne. Bob
nice
just
to see him back, Mike. Nice to see him back. He's been effective already,
hasn't he, just
this evening.
Already got the goal. It's got City level in this 2-2 draw. Here is Foden on the right-hand touchline, far side. Now Kyle Walker under the floodlights of St James's Park. At BBC RM Sport if you want to get in touch on social media, and also 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Just start your message with the word Mank and we'll put your comments to Nigel Gleghorn again. 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. I'll read the number again in a moment. Here's Vardiol left hand side, 2.5 minutes to go in this second half. Vardiol to Kovacic. Kovacic rolls it on through for De Bruyne, who's trying to get it and work it around Cher, but he can't, and foul Cher in the process. Free kick, Newcastle just away from their own penalty area. 2-2, Nigel Gleghorn.
Yeah, nothing's really happened around the box for City there. When them little breaks, they need that little break. It's always gone Newcastle's way. A foul on the edge of the box allows Newcastle to take a breather, and don't they need a breather? They've been under the cosh in this second half. I can't believe it's gone so quickly. It's
the whole game.
The whole game, yeah. It's been a really good game of football to watch. Two contrasting styles. City controlling possession, going forward, playing forward, and they played in some really good areas. Nice quick football, and really, the goals have come from breaks, which is one of City's Achilles heels, really, or the main Achilles heel of City. Under pressure. Have teams under pressure, under the cosh, and then one ball often breaks the shackles.
90 seconds of the 90 minutes remain. City 2-2 here at St James's Park with Newcastle United. Will try and squeeze you in some reaction before 8 o'clock as well, but we want reaction from you and your views and points on 0800 218-2255. Rodri gets away from his man on the far side. There are 6 forward here in Sky Blue City. Rodri to De Bruyne. The ball takes an awkward bounce in front of Rodri at that moment. Here is Vardiol in from the left. The heavy touch ruins the chance for now. And Vardiol can't find it back to Kovacic as well. And Pep Guardiola rotates his head to the sky. He's fuming. He wants it so much quicker than what Manchester City offered there. He wants to be on the pitch himself, Pep Guardiola, but he can't. And he can only rely on the 11 out there at the moment. Into the final minute, Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 2 here on BBC Radio Manchester's Total Sport. Out towards the far side, Foden, Walker. Guardiola still playing that moment over again in his head, back to his bench. You can see him, the jittering of the hands. Here's Vardiol. De Bruyne lets it run on through for Bob, but Bob can't return it back to De Bruyne, and Newcastle clear it for now. For now being the operative words, because here's Rodri. Turning left, turning right, turning back. De Bruyne now on the left, pokes it back through for Rodri. Just away from the left corner of the penalty area. About to find out how much added time here at St James's Park for City to find a winner. It's De Bruyne, 3 additional minutes. De Bruyne can't find a route through into the penalty area. We're into added time then. City have 3 minutes to find goal number 3 in this game for them. 2-2 the score. Huge roar from Newcastle, who may feel themselves as De Bruyne skips it into the box. Bob might be in. Oscar Bob wins it for Manchester City. The youngster with a huge goal at St James's Park. It's a massive goal. He's stalled in the penalty area, close range, and fires it past Martin Dubravka. What a moment for the youngster, and what a moment for Manchester City. Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 3.
Well, we're talking about quality, high-class quality. The ball from De Bruyne was absolutely sublime. But let's not take away the touch from Bob. His first touch took it past the goalkeeper, and then he's just fired it in with his right foot. Excellent there, around the keeper, and then fired in with his right foot. 6 yards out. The touch was brilliant, the ball was brilliant, but City have been knocking on the door all the way through the second half, and I thought it was coming. I'm pleased it has.
They're miles away from him, but Oscar Bob on the halfway line has just put 2 fingers to his mouth and blown a kiss towards the Manchester City fans up in the gods away to our left-hand side. They'll be dancing all over Newcastle tonight, and now Manchester City just have to hold on to what they have. In the second half they've come from behind, and it could be such a valuable win on Tyneside tonight. Throwing into the penalty area from Newcastle. Diaz's header is awkward. City still haven't got this clear. Isak trying to force the issue. Falls to Almiron on the volley. They want handball. It's not going to come, and Ortega makes the save.
Well, there was a touch of a hand there, but if you can give that as a penalty, then the game has totally gone. And this game doesn't deserve to be settled with something like that. That was it. Just a long throw in the box there, and it's all over the place. Everybody's at the pumps, and they've struggled there with that long throw. City have been excellent this afternoon, though. Apart from the 2 goals they've conceded, they have controlled this game minute 1 to minute 90.
Oscar Bob might have won this with his first ever Premier League goal for Manchester City. And hold on, maybe he hasn't won it.
Never.
No, play on. VAR check over very quickly on that incident in the Manchester City penalty. A big header from Walker away. It's Foden on the right-hand side. De Bruyne gave it to him with his own head. And Newcastle recover well enough. Dubravka. This has to go long from them. The 3 minutes are nearly up. We'll have a little bit extra because of that Manchester City goal. The bench absolutely exploded when Oscar Bob put the ball in the back of the net. De Bruyne commits the foul. Guardiola's off down the touchline here.
The foul was the other way, Mike.
Well, I think that's what City are appealing for.
How he's given a foul against him there, I don't know.
Yeah, how is the exact words that came out of Pep Guardiola's mouth. Back down to the 4th official. Right, this is it. Past the 3 minutes. City lead 3-2. Dubravka goes long, up towards the halfway line. De Bruyne will win the header, out towards the far side touchline. We're at the referee's discretion now. Thrown back to the goalkeeper, Dubravka. Out wide again. Referee blows the whistle. A huge win for Manchester City. Bob on the Tide is all mine tonight, because City from behind in this second half have turned this around to claim 3 points on Tyneside. Oscar Bob wins it in added time. De Bruyne off the bench to get them level in the second half. It's a game that had everything. Sparks flew throughout. A blow at the beginning to lose Edison. Bernardo put City in front. Isak and Gordon turned it around for the Magpies before the break. But in the second half, City continued with their relentless dominance in possession and made it pay, although they had to wait for the 90th minute to get it. It has finished here at St James's Park as City go 2 points behind leaders Liverpool. Manchester City have beaten Newcastle by 3-2.
What a game and what a finish to win it, Nigel Gleghorn.
Well, honestly, it deserved a finish like that, a ball like that from De Bruyne to go and win this game. It's been a real spectacle. You can see why when the top teams play in the Premier League, you can see why these are the games to watch. Newcastle give their all, but City dominated possession all the way through. They dominated the areas of pitch to play in all the way through. And Newcastle hit on the break and got themselves 2 goals. And an unlikely sort of half-time score of 2-1. It didn't look like that for 35 minutes. But City are a bit susceptible to a ball over the top, and they've scored 2 goals. But it just felt in the second half that somewhere along the line, once City got the equaliser, that they'd go on and win it. The substitution, I called for De Bruyne a little bit earlier. He came on and he showed his class. He looked a little bit rusty at times, but the way he stepped onto that ball and stroked it between the legs of the defender into the bottom corner from 22 yards, and it was a short backlift, and it didn't fly in, it just rolled in. It was absolute sheer class, and you think, well, go on, better that. So he did. He picked the ball up in the number sort of 8 spot, and he curled a beautiful pass out to Bob, and Oscar Bob's first touch around Trippier, who was in close vicinity of him, took it past him. His next touch took it past the goalkeeper, and then from 6 yards he just tapped it in. And that's no more than Manchester City have deserved today. City have been excellent all the way through, and you can see why. They're in a rich vein of form. They look confident even when they went 2 down. 2-1 down. City still look confident in their own skins that they could get back into it, and they did. And Newcastle, yeah, they'll feel disappointed at when the goal came, but really City have been the better side, and Newcastle have almost matched them in scoreline only. There was a real class difference today, and City had most of the class. Newcastle game, but not quite good enough.
And the scenes at the end, I mean, if there is a way to win a game, Nigel, there is nothing better than winning it late.
Always, they're always the best times, and even Newcastle nearly fashioned a chance from a long throw straight from that. But yeah, it's always best to win them in the last minute. You can score in the first minute, there's a long way to go, but score there like City have tonight, right on the cusp of full time with only a few minutes to go, then you've got a chance of defending that. And as I say, City shouldn't have been in that position really. They've dominated it all, they've had some good chances, not quite ruthless enough. And Newcastle probably had 4 chances, and taken 2 of them. City have peppered the goal. De Bruyne's made some good saves, but it's just been a dominant display from a side that looked to be back to their best without one of their best. But one of their best has just come back, which is great. So that's Haaland, De Bruyne. There you go. They're the best.
And De Bruyne will get a lot of the headlines, Nigel. He was brilliant. He scored a great goal. A wonderful assist for the winner as well. But, I mean, Oscar Bob took it so well, didn't he?
Well, De Bruyne will get all those plaudits because he came on, and where there was a lot of madness, he just calmed everything down. But so did the young man. When he played out here on the left, he had a measured approach to his game and understood his role and what he had to do. And the touch that took it past Trippier was sublime. And then the next touch past the goalkeeper was even better. And then always the best touch is the finish into the bottom corner. He was very calm in how he did that, and he was calmer when he came on. He didn't have long on the pitch, but he looks a prospect. I have to say, he looked really good, and he deserved his goal because he took a chance. He got in behind the defence, in behind Trippier, saw De Bruyne load up. There it is, go and finish it, son. And he made no mistake. Excellent finish.
I'm not sure Kevin De Bruyne has even played 90 minutes across 3 games this season, and he's got a couple of goals, 4 assists or something. He's incredible, isn't he?
He is, yeah. And I think any side in the world would miss Kevin De Bruyne, and it's testament to how good City are that this season they haven't really missed him that much, because they're still up there near the top of the league without probably one of the best players in the world. And it's great that he's come back now ready for the run-in, and he'll be fresh as a daisy, ready for those games in March and April and May that mean everything. That's when the titles are won, that's when cups are won, and Kevin De Bruyne will be ready for that, because he's had a good rest, if you like.
And we talk about it being the mark of champions winning games late, Nigel. I mean, that, there was a period in that second half where City were facing the prospect of being 5 points behind. Now they're only 2 behind. They're right back on Liverpool's coattails.
Yeah, they are. If you were here at the game and you could watch it, you could see that something was going to come. The later it got, you felt that City would get a point out of it. And if they got a goal earlier, you felt they could win it, because they played so well. And it is a mark of a great team, where you just keep going and you go and pick up your points. And City have done that today. Excuse me, they've got themselves at 3 points, when actually it might have only been 1. It could have been none, but that's what they do. They are relentless to keep going, they keep going, they keep going. Some of the football they played today was so it was the best I've seen them for a while, because they played forward quickly and ran forward, yet still managed to maintain a real tempo in the game. The tempo in this game was much quicker than I've seen in the last couple of games down at the Etihad. I thought that the passing was quicker, the movement was quicker. Lots of the stuff that did in and out of possession were much better than I've seen in the last couple of games down at the Etihad.
Right, okay. If you want to talk to Nigel Glegg on BBC Radio Manchester, Total Sport, you can do it right now.